This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, welcome everybody. I'm calling to order the regular session of this May 21st meeting of the Common Council of the City of Port Orford. We are starting at 5:30. Welcome everyone to this meeting. We'll begin with the roll call. Councillor Rath. Here. Councillor Lovendahl. Here. Councillor Brennan. Here. Councillor Burns.
Here.
Councillor Pogwizd.
Tim here.
Councillor Webb. Okay, and we also have with us tonight, we have Administrator Radcliffe, and I see we have Chief Hobart and Officer Brennan also here. So thanks all for coming. The first item that we will do is I ask you to join me in rising for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. The item number 2 is additions to the agenda. I just wanted to mention we have talked about the fact that we will be repealing the public safety fee because the levy passed, and we can talk about that in a bit. But we don't have the actual code prepared or the resolution prepared at this meeting. So I would suggest that we plan to do that at either a special meeting that we can associate with a budget meeting or just do it at the next meeting.
Will the actual revenue, will we realize that increased revenue before November or?
We will not, it's intended to go into effect on July 1st. So we will not, get revenue until it is paid in November.
Okay, but it'll be,
We could discuss whether we make the change.
yeah, that's what I was just,
Yeah.
yeah, that'll be discussed.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
And when, but I just wanted to bring it up because of course it's something we discussed. It's been brought up and it just will be, I think it'll be smoother if we have the resolution to do it properly. And we don't have that tonight, even though we all want, it's our intent to make that change, or we've voiced that to everyone and discussed it in the past. Okay.
With regards to that, do we want to put a thank you sign across the big?
Yes,
town
I
runway?
think that would be great.
Oh,
Yes, when I drove by today, I was like, we need to put a thank you up on that one. I like it.
Okay. Yeah, and we can get to discussing that topic later too, a little bit more. Okay, so the next item on the agenda is citizen concerns. We have a time limit for 3 minutes per person. Would anybody in the audience tonight like to make a citizen comment? Come on up to the podium, please, Dr. Lowry, and state your name.
Hal Lowry. This will take less than 3 minutes, I think. I wanted to bring forth some of the accomplishments with our little nonprofit called Neighbor to Neighbor since we last had a workshop concerning the campground next to Ray's. We have hauled trash several times. We are monitoring that irregularly, walkthroughs, chats with people there, and we are on a first name relationship with several of the people that live there. I say live there. We also have Monday meals. As you know, Monday Community Meals is a free meal at the senior center, and we have been serving a growing number of people, some of which are unsheltered, but a lot of them are local community members. 60 to 86, our maximum was 86 people served there. And it's a booming thing that people sit together or sit down. We take, there are about 20 meals that go out to people who can't come in. It's been very well received. And today, with the help of members of the Senior Center Board of Directors and Rotary, we moved a new huge freezer in. We had to take the door jamb off to get it in, and a new refrigerator because we have feeding so many people. We have freezer space issues. So that's a real plus. And we have a pending meeting coming with ADAPT locally to just hear what they plan to see how we can help. So that's my 3 minutes. We've made some progress and doing some things.
Excellent. Thanks very much, Al. Is there anybody else in the room that would like to make a public comment? Okay, do we have anyone online that is seeking to make a public comment at this time?
I can't seem to, I don't know if we're still on there in progress.
Okay, we're having a little bit of technical issues
There's
tonight
Progress, and I should be in there, but it's not.
because our,
Joseph is on vacation and he had left us things to be able to figure this out and but we couldn't get
We suffered the
Video
other
show?
night as well. It's,
did you suffer the other night?
extremely bad.
Okay, so something must be going on with our things. I have him on phone a friend here.
so,
Maybe we'll come back to it a little later if we.
okay, why don't we do that? We have a
It does
time.
say in progress, so I think they can still hear us.
Okay, well, if you are online and seeking to make a comment, sorry, I apologize for the technical difficulties we're having, and hopefully we can pick that up later if need be, or come on down to City Hall.
Sorry.
We're recording.
We are recording, yes.
Okay. He
Okay.
says he can still hear us, so at least we're still on with audio, and that's going to have to be good.
Okay, so we will move forward with the next item on the agenda then, which is the consent calendar.
I'll move to accept the consent calendar.
I'll second that motion.
Did you want to update these before we go?
I forgot to do it, so we'll just do it.
On we go.
Okay, we have a first and a second. Any discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. Counselor Brennan,
Yes.
Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Counselor Pogwizd,
Tim, yes.
Counselor Rask,
Yes.
Counselor Lovendall,
Yes.
Counselor Webb.
Webb, yes.
Excellent, great. I'm really excited to see Pamela Burnt stepping up to be on the Parks Commission. I know she's been a great volunteer on our Planning Commission in the past, so that's exciting. Okay, the next item is we have invited Jerry O'Sullivan from ADAPT to come and make a presentation to City Council. And welcome, Mr. Sullivan. And we are having trouble tonight with our AV. So what we did is we did print out your presentation for all the council members. So hopefully you can just know that we can follow along, or we'll just listen to you.
All right, well, give me a moment here and I'll get mine pulled up so I don't go out of order and mess you all up as you're trying to follow me aimlessly through my presentation. I want to have this up here.
Okay.
Just a second.
And I'll just to remind everyone, we decided to invite Mr. O'Sullivan because at the last meeting, when we were having that work session about our homeless issue, some questions came up about the role of ADAPT and what is potential, what ADAPT may be able to, what ways ADAPT may be able to potentially help our community. And so it just seemed like, why not invite Mr. Sullivan to get the scoop straight from him. So
Great. Well, thank you. My name is Jerry O'Sullivan. I'm the Chief of Regional Business Operations for ADAPT. We started well, I'm going to go through a little bit of the history. I won't go into that too much, but I'm going to talk a little bit about the past, a little bit about the present, and some of our future plans to kind of lay the groundwork to understand, for you guys to understand what ADAPT is and has been and hopes to be in the future. So, well, that's interesting. There we go. Okay. So ADAPT was established in 1971, 55 years ago, as an alcohol and drug treatment program out of a need seen in that community. A few group of people came together, a startup nonprofit, and set up those services. And they did that over a course of about 30 to 40 years, providing SUD services. That's what we call alcohol and drug treatment, SUD, substance use disorder. And they stayed within that kind of area or scope of work for that time period, adding residential programs, youth programs, multiple outpatient programs, programs into the jail. Eventually, we were invited into other counties because of failing programs in Coos County and Josephine County. And we came in and took over outpatient programs there in the 90s and 2000s. There was a point where the leadership could tell that alcohol and drug treatment was changing and becoming more medicalized, more medical treatments, necessary to have more medical staff. And so they determined to set up what's called a federally qualified health center, which is a health clinic that provides health services, medical services. But in our case, we did that in addition to providing some services for addiction. So it was really to help bring that expertise into the organization and provide some additional services to our clients. That was in 2009. And in 2016, we had the opportunity, the second opportunity, to become the Community Mental Health Program in Douglas County. There had been a nonprofit set up 2 years before that. We were also asked to do it then, and we said no. And so they set up a nonprofit to do that. It struggled and operated for about 2 years before it started to fail, and they asked again, and we said, okay, we'll come in and take it over. And, it was one of those times where we were sitting around talking about this, and someone said, well, how hard could it be? Well, we found out it's hard to be a mental health program, but we did it. It took about a year for us to get our feet under us and get moving in Douglas County with that. And then in 2022, a group of people, the county commissioner, Oregon Health Authority, and the 2 CCOs in Curry County asked us to come into Curry County as the mental health program because the mental health program here was closing or disbanding. So that's kind of the history of how we spread out. We aren't a company who set our goals on spreading out. We really are a nonprofit that's mission driven and finding ways to help people. And when it's lined up with our mission, we have taken on and expanded that mission to include other types of behavioral health services and healthcare. And that's kind of got us to where we are today. If you see here kind of our 3 main areas, primary care, mental health, and substance use treatment, these pieces overlap from each other. They are different. You have medical doctors and junior level practitioners providing care in primary care, going to your doctor. Usually it's about not feeling well or trying to figure out what's going on with a particular diagnosis. Whereas on the mental health side, treatment tends to be longer, more of a relationship, behavioral health focused, and then substance use treatment, which is more quicker, more intense. The treatment tends to be 90 days to 6 months, and then a person becomes stable and goes back to their lives. So these 3 pieces feel a lot differently, but they work pretty well together because people generally don't need a service in just one of these areas. They have multiple issues, and carrying that relationship through all these different parts of healthcare has been a big advantage for us, and we think it's a big advantage for our clients and patients too. So we think of our program in different ways. One of the ways to lay things out is on a map. There is on our website, this map is available there that in more detail for all the counties. I just pulled the piece over for Curry County to see how that lines up. And you can, well, this is the big picture. So this is all 4 counties that we operate in. Douglas County has most of our services and most of our staff. And then we have smaller programs in Coos, Josephine, and then Curry County, which we have the 2nd highest number of employees in Curry County. As we look at Curry County, we have 3 offices for behavioral health. But in 2022, we were invited again to come in and take over Coast Community Health. This is a situation where we knew that there were problems, and we offered to try to come in for about 2 years. The day before they were going to close, they finally said yes. And so we spent that day we had to keep them operating in order to maintain their status as a federally qualified health center. And we were managed to do that for Port Orford and Bandon. And that's how we picked up that piece of the organization. And now they're integrated, and we're working on trying to get the staffing up to speed for especially Port Orford. But we have behavioral health offices in Port Orford, Gold Beach, and Brookings. The first building we bought when we were invited in 2022 was in Port Orford. The previous community mental health program owned a couple of properties. And while they didn't give us anything, they allowed us to pay market price, very generous of them, to come in and buy a couple of properties from them, one in Brookings, one here. And we knew we wanted to have an office here. We weren't sure how soon it would be before we could staff it, but we used it really from the beginning to provide some services. Although, as you probably know, we didn't have an open door. We wouldn't have open hours. It was used by appointment. And that really came down to a staffing issue. So one of the ways we've dealt with that recently is since we've taken over Tichenor, which is where the clinic is located, we brought those services together because in a mental health program, it's not really safe to have a single person there operating by themselves with the door open. So people who are seeking services may not be stable. And so we always make sure we have at least 2 staff, and preferably a staff who's trained in crisis services. And in order to do that, we had to really bring those 2 programs together because we didn't have enough staffing to do that consistently. In fact, we spent 6 months playing whack-a-mole while we hired a person for this position and they shifted to a different position or left the area, and found ourselves back to having close the office down to appointment only. And now we've pulled those together here recently, and we should be able to have the door open. People can walk in and seek services for either primary care. The pharmacy, of course, is open 5 days a week, and then behavioral health services will be open also. So much preferable and better service for Port Orford that way. We did get in a situation where we now have 3 properties or 3 buildings in Port Orford, and I'm going to say that really wasn't the plan. We bought one, and when we were coming in to really keep Coast operating, one of the things they needed was some cash. They were close on cash. They had a building for sale, and one of the easier ways, because the federal government had to approve our acquisition of Coast, it took us from July 1st to October 1st to get that approved. And so in that time frame, they needed to stay operating. One of the processes by which we did that was we purchased that property that they had for sale on the south end of town. That was the purpose of it. It helped give us some cash to them in a way that was responsible. We couldn't just, hand them cash because we had no official relationship with them during this time frame. And it was a useful mechanism in that sense. But we ended up with 3 properties. And so we're utilizing them a little bit right now. But I think our focus, and I'm not 100% sure where we'll go with this, obviously Tichenor will continue to operate as a health clinic and behavioral health services. And the building at 1403 across the street, right there on 101, because of its proximity, we'll probably continue to operate that with some overflow for staff who come in and meet with clients or go into the community and need a place to do their work on a computer, an office to work out of. So we'll probably keep doing that at least for some time. Not sure what we're going to do with the building on the south end of town, but in some way we'll either put it to work or lease it, or at some point we may make the decision to sell it. We'll see how that works out. But that's where we are today. We also have an office space that we lease in Gold Beach, which is a county property. We have to have a space in Gold Beach because of being the county seat, the courts, having the jail, having the hospital, having staff there, especially the crisis team, who are often working with the jail and law enforcement. They have to have a presence there. So it's been very beneficial to have that space. It's kind of, we're a nonprofit. So we have buildings that range from 125-year-old department stores that we've converted to this building that we've gotten from the county, which we're grateful for. That is a converted truck shop. That used to be a drop-in center that's been converted into some office space. We purchased a property there to develop some office space that'll be a little larger, a little more appropriate. And we'll probably take that Gold Beach site and go back to a drop-in center use for that. So, and then Brookings, we have our main office down there. About 2/3 of the population live in the south end of the county. And I would say about 2/3 of our staff are staff down there in Brookings. And then we have the health clinic that Coast worked on remodeling that we hope to bring on in the next couple of years for an additional health clinic. And that we may do a health clinic in Gold Beach if we can get the funding to do that. So we're applying for a grant to do the remodel in the behavioral health clinic in Gold Beach. We'll know about that this summer. So lots of things in the works. We also inherited the Hammond House project in Gold Beach, which is housing specific for people who have severe mental illness. It was an 8-unit complex that 2 separate buildings, and one of those buildings burned down. The previous program, the mental health program that owned that, didn't have enough insurance on it, so they couldn't afford to rebuild it. And that created some compliance issues with their previous funder, which is Oregon Housing and Community Services, which manages housing funding in the state. And so when we took it over, we had some funding fall in our lap, allowed us to rebuild that building, and we got those 4 units rebuilt, and now they have 8 units of housing again that's serving the severe mental illness population with housing needs. Anyway, that's some of the stuff we have going on around the county. We have another housing project in Brookings that we're working on also. And yeah, I think that if you look here on this section, you can see our Gold Beach office. This had the corrugated metal siding on it like a truck shop would. We replaced that siding in order to dress that up a little bit and make it a little more professional. Hammond House is pictured there next to it. This has been repainted, and the one building is on the left that you can't see very well has been rebuilt. Brand new building. We have.
Excuse me, Mr. Sullivan.
I'm going on too long.
Well, I think the thing that we're most interested in
Sure.
knowing is what's happening in Port Orford and what's
Yeah.
the plan for Port Orford. I've heard some very impressive things you guys have done in Douglas County. And our concern is what's happening here. We see 3 empty buildings and kind of are wondering what's going on. So if you could focus on that, that would be
Sure.
excellent. Thank you.
Yeah, and the 3 buildings aren't empty. So all 3 buildings are being used in some way. So Tichenor has the pharmacy operating 5 days a week. It has a primary care provider 1 day a week right now. We're recruiting for somebody in Bandon. And when we get that person in Bandon, that person who's down 1 day a week will come down either 4 or 5 days a week, depending on what their schedule is. So we're trying to get that done. Plus we'll add another provider once that's in place. So the plan is to get back to 2 provider teams at least in Port Orford. And the building across the street has behavioral health staff in it multiple times per week. So it's overflow now, but we're also going to have parole and probation using that space once a week. HIV Alliance will be in there once a week. And we may have Brookings Core Response come in there once a week. So we have services in that building across the street, including our own staff.
So can you just explain a little bit more like what those things mean to members
Oh,
of our
sure.
community? I mean, is
So-
that the kind of thing where people walk in, or is it, how do they make an appointment, or are
Yeah.
there referrals? Can you just explain a little bit more so we can understand it better?
So the reason we moved some of the behavioral health staff over to the Tichenor building is so a person off the street that wants to seek services can just walk in the door. There's regular office hours, 8 to 5. And we weren't able to do that before without having at least 2 staff there. So now that we have all those services together in one building, we always have 2 staff. And so an 8 to 5 schedule is possible. So you can walk in, seek services, make a scheduled appointment. The other staff that come in who provide other services are often working with clients in the community. So we have, as a CMHP, a community mental health program, we have a whole slew of services that were required. There are teams of people required to provide. There's about 32 staff out of our 54 staff that we have currently in the mental health program in Curry County who are dedicated to those required programs. Those programs aren't none of those programs are a program you walk into and seek services. Normally you have to have a special condition or you have other issues that make you qualify for that. So that's kind of a separate carve out. Those are the staff that use that space. They're meeting with clients that are existing. They'll just do paperwork there, but go into the community to meet them. Often those services have to be in the community. So they'll go to their home, they'll go somewhere in the community. They could be people that are unhoused. And so those services are a little different than what you would expect from like a health clinic or from a regular, behavioral health program. They're out in the community. And the rest of the services we want to have in the Tichenor building. Those would be regular mental health outpatient services, SUD services for alcohol and drug treatment. And then we have peer services on top of that. So all of these pieces, I showed you the 3 buckets, the primary care, the mental health, and the SUD. We have some other services outside of that. The housing is outside of that. And we have some outreach services that are funded through grants. They're designed to serve people who are not our clients. So the normal setup for a mental health program or an SUD program is person Joe Blow walks in the door, they seek services, they become a client, and we start serving them. The outreach people, we have 5 positions in Curry County. They serve the whole county. And they go out to camps. They go out and they meet people at events who may be unhoused or maybe just attending an event and not connected to services. They can provide services to them. They can help them seek services. They can help them with other services besides ours. They can even provide transportation, work with them about their anxiety, about going in for a new service, build motivation, help them understand what it would look like, all of that type of work. So that work goes on in addition to all of this. So some
And
of
that's
the people,
happening here?
yes,
Yeah,
that's
that's
been
happening
happening
here.
here. Yeah, for 3+ years. So they spend some time in Port Orford, and they spend time, really they have a schedule they work through to visit the different camps and events. They also do events in different locations. And they also get called out. So they may have someone that reaches out and say, hey, I had this interaction with a person that's, in this location that really needs to get some support or wants services but doesn't know what to do. They can go out and visit them, wherever they are. So that's kind of the range of what we provide right now.
Do you guys have any collaboration with local law enforcement that is sometimes at the front line of mental
Yeah.
health breakdowns and
Yeah,
stuff?
yeah. So when you think about ADAPT and you think about the size of the organization, there's lots and lots of employees, but it's a very cellular organization. They are part of small teams. We have all these different teams that are doing things. That's even true here. Of the 54 employees, they're involved in 10 or 12 different teams that are involved in different kind of work. One of those is the crisis team. So the crisis team is a 24-hour service. They manage the crisis line for the county. You can call that line 24/7. They aren't going to answer it 24/7, but someone will. We have a special call service that we subscribe to that's called Protocol. And they have crisis people trained in crisis, including therapists, who answer the call. They work with people, help triage what's going on. 95% of the time for an after hours call, they don't need to send somebody out. But if they need to send somebody out, people on our staff, they can call and they'll be there on site to work with them in person. They come in 2-person teams. Law enforcement can call that number. Hospitals can call that number. Private citizens can call that number. They can call for themselves. You can call for someone else. That crisis line is there. And so what they do is they work with people in order to understand the situation, triage, what do you need? Is it an appointment tomorrow, a call back tomorrow, or do you need someone like right now? And they sort that out and then they activate whatever is needed. And every morning, the crisis team goes through a list of all those calls and then works the list all the way through to make sure and do follow-ups and reach out to people.
That was a no.
Oh, that's a yes, actually. Isn't that a yes?
So you haven't been working with local law enforcement?
They work with local law enforcement. I think one of the main things that,
If local law enforcement calls them, then they will work, someone will answer the phone, but it may not be them. And the next day you might.
well, let me say it again, because you're not,
And that's what you just said.
that's not what I just said. Let me
That's what I heard.
clarify.
That's what I heard.
Okay, let me clarify what I just said.
Please.
If you call it, someone answers. Most important, that someone is trained to deal in crisis. Our staff is on 5 days a week, 8 to 5, and they answer the phone most of the time, unless they're busy on crisis calls. They'll be the one that answers the phone. After hours, protocol answers it. They're trained in crisis. They will triage the situation. If they need someone called out, they have someone on our team that's on call who will come out right now and work with them. Doesn't have to be law enforcement, but it can be. Does that clarify it for you?
So our law enforcement officer would encourage the person to call at that moment
law
if they were, so
When
if
law enforcement's
getting
involved, they would probably call themselves. But yeah, I mean, it could be an individual.
So that should be what our fellows are doing, is that if they are with someone who's in a mental health crisis situation, that they should call this line and then they could get help from a,
Normally when law enforcement's involved, they'll be the ones to make the call. And a person in crisis isn't going to be able to manage that as well often. It's up to the law enforcement officer to make a decision about how they want to do that. But
that
usually
is an
what we-
option for them.
yeah, I mean, anybody could call. So it could be that the person in crisis could call, but that wouldn't be my recommended pathway usually.
Okay.
So we do go out, law enforcement engages in that process. And I'll tell you how it works in Douglas County. In Douglas County, it just as an example of what our goal would be, right? Is we're actually dispatched, our mental health people are dispatched by the 911 dispatchers. So
How far are you from attaining that kind of level
Yeah.
of service here?
it's not about our service, it's about collaboration. So there's gaps in the 911 dispatchers here that they don't feel comfortable kind of working on that. In Douglas County, it took us 5 years to get to that point. So there has to be enough capacity in the dispatcher side of it, and we have to have our piece involved. And then they have to build trust with us, our team, specifically the crisis team, in order to feel comfortable doing that.
So if like a crisis team is based in Gold Beach and we have a crisis up here,
Yeah.
that's sort of the delay. It would obviously.
There is going to be a delay. There always is a delay. The requirement around this is that they respond within at least 2 hours. That's the statute. And they respond normally within 45 minutes or less if they're closer.
Does anybody else have any other
I
questions?
just have a quick question. So I have an idea of how much time does your staff spend here in Port Orford? Like coming to our Woods camp or
Yeah,
having appointments? I mean, what percentage, or to give me an idea?
I don't know for sure exactly what that is, but I would guess somewhere in that 10 to 15% range.
I think my concern is this is all wonderful information
Decided to help.
and it's great to know that you're here, but we don't see it. And for example, the building across from what we call the blue building, you know, it appears to be there for people to go to, but then it's not staffed all the time. And I don't think that, I know I did not know that if I needed help, I should go to the Titchener building.
Well, that just happened. So that's happened about 2 or 4 weeks ago that we just shifted that over
And where was it before?
in the green, what's now a gray
There was
building.
never anybody, that's right, it is green. There was
Yeah.
never anybody there.
They
And
were
so
there.
We're not seeing these services, at least I'm not seeing these services in the community.
Well, and also in the past, just to amplify what you're saying, we did have in that blue building kind of an open door thing happening. I mean, a while back where people could go in and get all sorts of services. So that's, I think, what we're feeling the lack of that
Yeah.
right now in a big way.
Well, I'll just say that when we came in, the previous provider had closed that service. They only had 13 staff in their CMHP for the whole county. So that's what you had when we came in. Today, we have more staff than they did. We want more services. We have several open positions that are also serve Port Orford. You'll see more as we're able to fill these positions. And having things move into Titchener is about being able to have that open door and be able to walk in. The blue building, we call blue building, will be an overflow, at least for the foreseeable future. There is a time where I'd like to see that open back up to more open access. Overflow is what it's being used for right now, though. And
Is there like a notice on the door or something that says if you need help, go to the Titchener building? Because people here are really used to going to the
sure.
other one.
Well, we will make sure that there's a door signage on the door. But I also just would remind you that you can also call and check and see where, if someone's available. Most days we do have somebody, even before this move, we had somebody in the blue building, and appointments could be made and they could get access to services. They could even walk up and knock on the door and someone would come and open it if they were there. Most of the time they were there. It's not ideal, but we had to do that for safety reasons. And that's why we shifted them over, because by having multiple teams in one location, we don't have this safety concern.
So Jerry, another question I have is, one of the things our community has been discussing is our homeless population and what to do and how can we do better, or how are we going to manage the situation? And I'm just wondering, well, two things. One is, one of the things we might consider is to have an advisory committee of community members or participants. And would someone from ADAPT be able to participate in that?
Yeah, absolutely. We participate in committees like that in the county currently, but we could also participate in more. And we have an interest in doing that.
And then secondly, you've described all these various teams and stuff, but is there like someone who's like the Port Orford person, or is it more like all these teams come in and out? I mean, is there
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's less cohesive, I think, for Port Orford right now, but you'll see that happen. Yes.
Now Lynn is here full time.
Yes. Yeah, we do have, and then we have the provider who is here once a week. She lives down here. So that's one of the reasons why when we replace that position in Bandon, she'll come down here full time.
What's your timeline on that?
Yeah, my timeline is sometime about 6 months ago. That's when I wanted to see that happen.
Okay.
We can relate to that.
Yeah, so here's how it works for providers. You guys do some recruiting now and then. You see some of this, local businesses do also. And we have, of course, the number of positions open here and there. But when it comes to medical providers, the timeline for recruiting is at least 9 months. 9 months to get traction on that. And at first glance, that seems probably a little odd or difficult. But even once we identify somebody, if you're going to find a good provider, right? You want somebody who's going to be a good employee, a good provider for the community. They're not going to be able to leave their other job like that, right? They have probably a couple of months of transition to get out of their other obligations. If you have somebody that's willing to come in real quickly, probably not the right person for what you want. So we end up in the situation where the timeline for recruiting is between 9 and 12 months, which is so painful, I just have to say.
Right. Yeah.
And we have the added issue. We have this issue in every community. But I think on the coast, one of the challenges we run into is smaller communities are not as attractive to everybody who is at that level of licensure. And if it is attractive to that person, it may not be attractive to their spouse. And we have a situation where we get somebody who's excited, who does a great interview, and then, a few days later is like, no, I'm not going to be able to do that. So it's a challenge. Everything we love about small communities, and I grew up in Riddle, which is a community about the size of Port Orford, lived in Canyonville for 25 years, which is just a little bigger than Port Orford. And I like a small community. I don't live in a big community, but not everybody feels that way. And unfortunately, in this profession that we're trying to recruit for, and this is the key linchpin for that clinic, these are the hardest positions to find somebody who wants to live and has that skill level and has that credential.
Yeah.
So.
Okay, any other questions from counselors?
Yeah, I have a question. I'd kind of like to go back to the, if somebody's in the middle of a crisis
Yes.
and they try to call, like law enforcement or somebody else in the community tries to call you guys, is there any situation where you guys will not come out?
If it's not safe, I mean, if law enforcement hasn't secured a situation where there's violence involved, then we would wait for it to be cleared by law enforcement. Does that make sense?
Are there any individuals in the community that we would just necessarily not serve? A blacklist of,
No,
there's not.
no, crisis is available for everybody.
Okay.
So then if something were to happen and they don't come out, then who would we contact to find out why?
On our website, there's a compliance number and you can call that and they'll investigate what happened and let you know.
Thank you.
I think we have had a circumstance like that, so that's why we have some questions.
The only thing I can think of is if they are, the only thing that should happen is if they're tied up in another crisis and can't get to it, but they're still supposed to respond within 2 hours.
Could
I'm
you,
curious if you guys have considered with your third building, which I don't even know which one it is, but have you considered converting that to housing like you have in Brookings and Gold Beach?
We haven't, not housing. I don't know that it's big enough to do housing and it's a commercial building, so it's a little more difficult to convert that way. We look at, I mean, we've done all kinds of odd, wonderful things for trying to develop housing, but I hadn't thought of that one. I'm not sure how that would fly, but I would entertain it.
Which building is that
The
specifically?
761,
With the birds on it down by the bridge.
Auburn,
the old
the
Auburn-
Swan. It has a swan.
Oh, that one. Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
the old
South
bank,
end of town.
Yep. It's the old bank building.
old
It was
Sterling
the old-
Bank.
Oh, the old Umpqua Bank.
Yeah,
on the
on
way to
Waugh, Sterling,
South-
whatever.
yeah,
Check
South-
it. Okay,
Great.
well, just in the interest of time, I think we'll probably wrap this up now, but I so appreciate you coming. And as you can tell, we actually really would love to have you have more services here. And
Yeah.
so we look forward to your success and we would appreciate the opportunity to collaborate to bring better mental health services to our community. So thank you very much for coming.
I got one thing.
Oh, yeah, whoops.
Is it, because services are so sparse here, have you considered a shuttle, a daily shuttle to
Good point, good question.
places where the services are available? I mean, we have the highest unemployment rate. We have
Yeah.
the lowest income in the whole county. It's highly unlikely for this to be a very successful place to pull someone out of addiction and homelessness. That's the facts.
Yeah.
The services that are required are not here. And whether you want to bring them here or they want whoever, what, they're not, right? But they are down the road, and a van that's daily could solve a whole lot of problems.
Right.
Yeah.
So some things we do, like that outreach pier I talked about, they do provide some transportation. And one of the things we do when we start working with people, the first thing, well, let's not say the first thing. First thing we do is build rapport. But once we build some rapport, some relationship with the person, we try to find out if they qualify for a health benefit. If they qualify for OHP, we help them get signed up for that. If they can get OHP, transportation is part of their benefit. So that's kind of a key piece to get them in the door. And then for others, we do provide some transportation to some services because that is a kind of a huge barrier. And a lot of what we do, where it's appropriate, is we look for other ways to provide services, including telehealth services and other things to fill in some of the gaps where transportation just doesn't work. The thing I also want to point out is in Western Oregon, I would say you have more services here than any town your size in Western Oregon. Riddle doesn't have any of this. Canyonville doesn't have very much of it. They have some. And you have this nice kind of piece to work with and build on. My hope is that as we go forward, you have more services from us and others. Because I like to see more services in rural communities. That's kind of one of our goals where we can do it. Doesn't always pencil out. We're in a unique situation where we may be able to make that work long-term to build more services. That's our hope. And that's what I like to see us do. That it's not going to happen tomorrow though.
But you would bill OHP
For
for your
services.
services, right?
Yeah, if they're qualified for it.
Right.
Yeah.
So, right.
They have to get on OHP, but they may have other health benefits they can qualify for too.
Counselor Pogwizd.
I see you have school-based health clinics in Gold Beach and Brookings.
Yeah.
Do you plan on bringing a clinic back to the Port Orford?
We would work with them on that if they're interested in doing it. We're in this weird staffing situation where we're trying to get these clinics back up to speed. So those two that we have listed there, they're not up to speed. So we have
Not
some,
yet?
no, they're established as actual clinics as part of the federally qualified health center. But we got to get that staffing up to speed. So once we get those up to speed, we get Port Orford up to speed, then yes, we would look at adding additional clinics if there's interest in doing so.
Okay, there was a clinic at
Yeah.
the high school.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'll mention that to the,
And we're working with them to get all three schools, we're working on having behavioral health therapists in all three schools. Again, we're recruiting for those positions.
very good.
Brookings, we had one. It was working pretty well. She shifted to another position in the organization. And so now we're recruiting for that one again.
We understand the recruiting
Yeah, we get it.
process. We
Yeah, we
understand
do.
the difficulties as a city.
I swear, when COVID came, we had this weird situation where there was lots of federal money flowing down and we're thinking, yes, finally we got some money. And then we couldn't hire anybody. And we're like, oh my gosh, now it's people that we need. So it's been quite an experience, but
One question about your budget. So my understanding is that you were charged with 4 counties with the.
we operate in 4 counties,
4 counties and
different programs in each county. So
the budget's $25 million roughly. Is that correct?
no, it's more than that.
More than that.
Yeah.
Okay, what is the breakdown county for county? I mean,
Yeah.
does Curry County get a fair share? What's going on with that? Do we get
So first of all, we don't,
been underserved and
yeah. So you're actually overserved by us. So
overserved?
here's the deal. When you think about it, we don't get money and then nobody brings us a boatload of money and says, go provide services. We go out and deliver services. We bill for those. We get contracts for those. CCOs, for example, are the main conduit for this, but there's others. They hold us accountable for providing those services. So we have 600 plus staff. That's how big ADAPT is. 54 currently are in Curry County or directly serving Curry County, plus other staff like myself and others support Curry County, but we're not part of that number. There's about 10 who provide some administrative support beyond that. But we actually lose money in Curry County compared to the amount of money we have. And when we fill all of our positions, it would be about 69 positions that we have designed into and are recruiting for right now. The money, most of the money we make, surplus money is in Douglas County. So Douglas County, we have the broadest range of services, about 450 employees there, multiple sites for the FQHC, a full CMHP, and a whole slew of SUD programs. We've operated there for 55 years. And so we're the most mature in Douglas County. And if we didn't have those kind of mature pathways, we couldn't do anything else. Because I have to say at different times, all the other counties lose money. It's interesting if we were to go through our PEP programs, there's a number of them that always lose money. We have one of the few youth residential programs in the state, and it loses money and we still operate. I know we're getting short on
I
time.
need
But
to
thank you.
wrap this up, but everybody had some good
Yep,
questions.
thank you very much.
And really appreciate your time. Thanks very much for coming. And
Let me
we
know.
will-
I'm happy to come back.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Mr.
Thank you very much.
Sullivan. Okay, well, that was interesting stuff. Okay, so now, everybody, we are going to move on to departmental reports. And so first off, we have Melissa.
Okay. So most importantly, right at the top, I put it right at the top, it is National Public Works Week, and our National Public Works people did a fine job this last week. So I was not in town, but I got lots of updates about multiple leaks and multiple things. So a big shout out for their work all year long, but particularly this last week was a highly busy time. So John Isidore is the superintendent of public works, and we have Wade Phillips and Michael Maynard and Ryan Sibley and Brad Quinn, and at wastewater we have Josh Weidman. So those fellas keep care of the streets and the parks and the water flowing and the sewage going in the right direction. And we just are so thankful for them every day, but just wanted to give a shout out for them. So,
Absolutely.
yes. to them.
Excuse me,
Uh,
can you please close the door in the back of the room just for, to keep the room quiet?
Noise.
Thank you.
The other thing that we need to talk about is on the budget calendar. So the notices that needed to go out into the newspaper that have to be done a certain number of days before that, there was miscommunication there. It did not happen. And so we are going to hopefully pivot to some other June dates. They need to be done early in June. We can get the notice to the paper. We'll write it up tomorrow. But the dates that I would like you to think about with your calendars, and then we will also push it out to the budget committee, would be June 4th. June 4th is a Thursday. All of these meetings would be at 4 p.m. So we stay off of other committee meetings on these same dates. But so June 4th on Thursday, June 10th, which is a Wednesday, would be the second one we propose. Thursday, the 11th, and then if needed, Friday, the 12th. The reason we have to block them up like that is that in order to pass the supplemental budget for this current year, fiscal year 26, we need to approve that before we finalize the final one, June 18th, which is our regular board meeting in June. If need be, we can add more meetings. I would like to get it done by then at our regular scheduled meeting. So is there anyone who out of this group is absolutely not going to be able to make those?
I can't make the 10th.
I couldn't even tell you right this minute.
Yeah, I won't know until I look at my calendar.
Okay, so if you could let me know, those are the proposed dates. Again, because of noticing, I would like to get this information to the paper as soon as
So
possible,
You can always cancel. You can cancel a meeting,
correct?
but you can't just put one on. So
Right,
you could err in caution and list several dates as meeting dates
Mhm.
and then cancel is an idea that could
Yeah, because we have to get
handle
it,
your
we
notification.
have to get the notification in tomorrow to pull it off. So if everybody,
Just do those dates maybe and then,
or if everybody could go
might
home
have to
tonight
cancel
and
if
send an email to Melissa right away if
Yeah,
there's
in the
any
morning.
trouble.
But you
by the
could
morning.
cancel at any time. I mean, that's what I'm saying is
Yeah.
don't not notice.
correct.
can have
So
us
so we're going to notice the 4th, the 10th, the 11th, the 12th, the 18th.
An
And so
idea.
between those, I could,
To throw a couple extra in there, because if we end early, it's like Brett said, it's okay to
Correct.
cancel the.
right, okay,
But just an idea. Back in the day, we used to pick a date, a start date, and then we just did Monday, Wednesday, Monday, Wednesday, Monday, Wednesday, and just threw like that whole calendar out there.
okay.
And we may have ended early, but they were all there for us
Mm-hmm,
if in fact we needed to use them.
mm-hmm,
Because if not, if you find out you need to use them, you got to post again.
exactly, exactly. And we had our list of four,
No, I know you
that
guys
we
have
had
done a
done
good job,
before,
and for
but,
unforeseen reasons, where we're at.
right,
And we'll get it done, and we'll be
Yeah.
able to open the doors on July 1st.
absolutely. So I can add a couple dates after these, like earlier that June 18th week.
Yeah.
A couple of those dates,
Yeah.
so I'll add
Yeah,
to that.
Then we'd be covered just in
That's
case
right.
we ran into a
Okay.
snafu.
Very
Yep.
good
which
ideas.
I don't
Yep.
expect us to.
I don't either. I think we're going to be fine, but it's something you have to get right. And so I want to make sure we get it right.
Correct.
Also jumping down the audit update, I think there's one thing dangling out that our guy Leaf needs to finish up on, and then our audit will be completely finished for 2025, which is wonderful. So we're excited about that. And then we want to start not too far ahead for the current years to get it done, because we now that we're caught up, we want to stay caught up. So that's the plan.
And back in the day, as we've heard, it used to be that the audit would be completed by the end of the year so that
Correct,
we could then start off January knowing where we were at and have
correct.
into the budget. So,
That is the goal, which is
That is
why
the
we've done
goal.
4 audits in 2 years.
right. So hopefully we're getting there,
Yes,
which will be a good place to be.
yes. And
That's
so,
not an easy task, by the way. 4 audits in 2 years. This is
No.
insane.
Yeah, that's
I mean,
you
awesome.
see the gray? You see this gray?
Yeah.
That's part of it. And then I want to give a couple little shout outs. Tomorrow is Dina Lang's birthday. And so happy birthday to Dina Lang. She keeps this place running for finances. Also, this last week was Joseph's birthday. So Joseph, although he's not here, he's visiting family. I just really appreciate our people who keep everything moving, and especially keep it moving. I'm still on East Coast time because my son graduated this last week from Seton Hall University. We're very excited for Tristan. I know, it's really great. So we had a good time, and even drug multiple 76-year-olds through New York City multiple times, and we lived to tell the tale, and all was well, and it was fabulous. So anyway, so thank you.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, the next item is the mayor's report, which I did put into the packet, and I'll just highlight a few things. Super excited that we did get 2 grants. One to finally remove that culvert, and then the other one with the help from our wonderful community center friends fundraising committee, a $200,000 grant to go towards the renovation of the American Legion Hall.
Both excellent achievements.
Amazing
I
achievement.
misunderstood something on that culvert.
Yeah.
We're not replacing it?
No,
No.
we're not replacing it. We are taking it out.
I struggle to understand that.
It's a road to nowhere. It goes nowhere. The cost of replacing it would have been extremely high because it would have to meet much higher regulatory standards now than it did back when it was built, probably in 1989, owing to fisheries issues. So it's
I guess my question is why are we doing anything then?
because it's going to collapse and then it's going to dam up, and it's going to, if it blows out, it's 1,500 cubic yards of material would get shoved down into our reservoir.
It isn't,
We're long past that.
well, I'm just saying, I don't understand it. I thought the problem is it might fill up and then blow out.
Yeah, that's the
Right.
problem. It's
Right.
collapsing.
So, but if we don't replace it,
Then it's
You
just
could fill the
then it's a
concrete
free
for
flowing
10
stream.
grand.
If you don't replace the culvert, then it's a free flowing stream. But right now it's crunching down. It's creating a dam which can blow out.
the culvert is a free flowing stream.
They put a road in that just went a little ways farther and then stopped. And
So we're just digging the road out.
before the road went in,
Okay, that's different.
it
Then.
just came in naturally.
Okay, that's different than we're taking the road out.
We're taking the fill and the culvert out
That's-
Yeah.
Okay.
and restoring the stream. So anyway,
And we got a grant to cover it all.
Yeah,
we got a
no, that's
grant
great. It was
covered up.
$247,000 or something.
Yeah.
Yep.
45, yeah.
Yeah.
okay, so those are 2 exciting things. And then the other just thing to mention is I was all excited last time about that FEMA brick grant moving along, and we're on a pause again now with that because of, I don't know what, but anyway, so we're working on those things still. And the big thing that I was reporting on also was doing the work on that police levy. And I
Mhm.
really want to thank the committee of citizens that helped with that and the counselors that helped with that. We did a lot of outreach, and I really appreciate that citizens voted in favor and have faith in us trying to get our financial house back into order so that we can provide services. And this is going to be super helpful to enable us to continue to provide police services and other services as well. So thanks to everyone. And to those citizens who voted against it, we hope we will be, hopefully, as I said, repealing the fee, and hopefully we will earn your confidence when we just.
And we'll
do
serve you
things
just
better.
the same.
Yep.
That's right.
Okay. So.
You don't have to cut, so that's a huge win
That's a huge win, not having to cut right now. So it's a huge relief.
in police.
Okay, so moving on, finance. We have some financial papers here that the Kaitolas have sent us. And Melissa, I have to say, some of these, we're going to have to get them, once we get this budget thing going, to come and explain to us how to read them. Have the transfers happened already?
Yeah, so the transfers have, as far as I understood it, the transfers have happened because that was where we were having concerns before.
So we're having trouble with the camera still, right? Is that
With the what?
our camera for the?
Yeah, the cameras aren't,
Okay.
unfortunately, even though I have it, you see in the lower bottom, I have them both clicked on the microphones and the cameras, but for some reason ours
I
is
just
not,
wanted
and
to
I
be
don't know.
sure checking in, somebody's checking in with me to see what we were doing here. So it's fine.
I unfortunately,
Yeah,
again,
no, we don't, I get
I've
it.
clicked what I can do and I don't know what's
I'm sure they
happening.
can hear us.
Yep, they can, because I double checked with someone on there and Joseph's on there and he said he can still hear us. So that's the main piece. Yes, confirmed
Can
again.
I ask a question regarding the financials?
Yep,
Okay, so if we go to the last page of the financials, the debt service, which is in sewer, I understand, 17,485 in parentheses. Can somebody explain what we missed in debt services or what?
Where?
the last
see
the last
that.
page of
Last
that. There you
page
go.
where it's the summary. But it's also it's in the sewer as well.
For revenue
Mhm.
or expense summary?
It's expenses.
It's also in the sewer. That's where
Line item.
that
Mhm.
17,485 comes from. Let's see, sewer. Anyway, I can get an answer to that better.
Yep, I will look into that for you. I
Okay.
can't off the top of my head, because again, that's the
Okay.
debt, that's the loans.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I don't know.
it does.
I don't
yeah,
know.
it
That
just
you're
doesn't
right.
make
That doesn't make sense.
sense. I'm sure there's a logical reason. I
I'm-
just wanted to.
But I don't know it off the top of my head. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
There is something that happened that the audit caught, that was the way that those debts were put into the
Mhm.
budget last year were a little bit
Okay,
screwed up, such that it made it look like we didn't have enough money to pay at some point. So
okay.
I think
Which, yeah, that is true, but we do, because we have a schedule that we have of all the payments that we have to make, and we always have that in reserve. So I think because this gets pulled from Tyler, and thank you for reminding me, there was a snafu with that. So I will look into it again, though, to make sure that,
Yeah, it's under the expenses page in sewer, and it's debt service, 17,485. We're at 110%.
right.
So
Yep.
we're,
But those are scheduled out, and we're able to make our payments. So, yeah,
okay.
yeah. So,
Thank you.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that is kind of the confusing thing about where we're at. We're 83% of the year elapsed, and then the numbers in some categories
Mhm.
it will just be useful to get some
Yep.
tips on how to.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, well, if there's no other questions, let's check out. We've got a Public Works report here that John put in. He's not here, but it looks like we have a lot of water loss as usual. It's kind of strange because it's split up. It starts before the finance pages, by the way,
Oh, okay. I was like,
and
I
then
don't-
after. So this,
I see.
he has a list here of numerous leaks, and that doesn't even, I think, include the one that
No.
just happened.
Because I
which
think
was
we
the
had
big one.
3 in this last week too.
So these guys have really been working, as you say, on these leaks.
Mhm.
So.
Melissa, do you know if a lift station is down, now that's lifting the sewage up so that it can continue
Yeah,
on?
it's basically a pump. It's a pump to take the sewage that's coming into the vault that goes to there, and then it pumps out to go
So if one of
to.
those is down, what,
It's a major emergency.
You can have an overflow.
yeah.
We've been pretty fortunate. I mean,
So are you looking under the,
So I was
on-
just
like at
looking
number
at the
6?
lift stations, they were plugged.
Yeah, so they go and so when he talks about being ragged up, so again, the public service announcement of flushable wipes are not flushable. It's a lie. It's a huge, big, fat lie. Because they also just get spun around everything. So when they talk about plugged up or they're ragged up, they have to then go manually pull those rags out of the pump so that the pump can function. So yes, it was down, and like Lakeshore has a hole in one of the pipes, so it makes a lot of racket, makes a lot of noise. It's still pumping, it's still going. But and Pinehurst is another one that had been an alarm quite often and that they're really looking at. So our lift stations are no younger than other pieces of what we have. And so, but the price, we have to get them, but the prices of the pumps into like the Arizona lift station, we have physically here, but we're waiting on the engineering for the installation of it, because everything, it's a bigger, the Arizona lift station is a larger pump, a larger system than what we are replacing. So it has to be re-engineered and redone just for the,
So John was going to try to get that done before the end of the
correct.
fiscal
And
year.
that's
Is that
still, it's still, I believe,
and
out
hopefully-
for the contractor. So we have it, we have the engineering wrapping up, and then it's going to be finding a contractor to be able to do the install, because it's a bigger project than our fellas to do that.
so can we use SDCs?
I believe we can use sewer SDCs on that, because it is increasing the capacity of the system, which is the only way you can use SDC fees.
Not saying we're going to, but we could.
We
if
can,
need to.
we could if
Okay,
we need
thank
to.
you.
Yep.
Okay, so let's, any other questions? I mean, please give our best to John. And onward, we'll press on to the liaison reports. So Sarah, do you have anything? You gave a good report here.
Mhm.
You wanna-
We're just up to staff. I do want to publicly acknowledge Brian Thompson's
Mhm.
7 years on the Parks Commission. He has resigned. He was chairman. And I just want to say thank you in public to him for all his service for those 7 years.
Absolutely. thank you.
But we are now up to full capacity. And we have some energetic people on board now that are getting some things accomplished. And with Pam, I think we'll move forward. And I just outlined them. I won't take your time
Yeah,
going through everything.
that's really wonderful news. Sarah, thank you so much for your efforts to help recruit some good people on that.
Great people.
I was also happy to read in there that the harassment of the RV of our park hosts has settled down,
Yes.
because they are fabulous and we want to keep them.
Our park hosts are wonderful. I was going to thank, we got the mower for them. We,
Mhm.
a few
John's
things
done a
we're
good
making there. We do have a theft problem with our, equipment for the mini golf and the
Yeah,
different,
that's
and it's,
Interesting.
so we're taking measures they steal the golf balls and then they throw them at the
ODOT
DOT. And they break the golf clubs seem to disappear. We used to be able to keep paddles and balls
was just so
and tennis
great.
balls and, and we didn't have a problem, but now it is a huge problem. So we're getting a lock. They're going to start locking it at night. We
Mhm.
have to, they only put so many out.
Mhm.
I actually had someone contact me if I had some golf putters and golf balls because they wanted to go use the mini golf. They had people from out of town.
You might have to BYOB ball.
Oh, it'll be a BO, yeah.
It's such a great system though, the way we used to have it. So I like the idea of trying it with the locking at night, because it probably
Yeah,
happens.
we'll give it a hand. We'll give it
Yeah.
There's another thing I wanted to talk to Hobart about, that we might be able to help dissuade people from doing that. So I'll get a hold of Hank.
Is there a need for butters and such?
Oh, yeah,
Is there
They-
a place that they can be delivered, dropped
to the park host.
to the park host?
Yes, if you've got old golf balls or putters, we only want putters. Someone
No drivers.
dropped off some drivers.
Okay, then to the park
Won't
host.
work.
To the park house.
Yeah, to the park host.
I bet if Parks reached out to Bandon Dunes, you would probably get some pretty good.
That's a good idea.
Not just a
Anyway,
pretty face,
just-
Tim Pogwiz. Look at you.
Next time you're out there on the,
I unfortunately, I don't golf very often, and I don't golf at Bandon Dunes because,
I know,
We could
flip it on the,
We could probably do that.
yeah,
Okay,
we
good
could do that.
ideas.
but I think
Good
that they
idea.
would help out.
Yeah,
I'm
thank you.
Positive they would.
Thank you, Tim.
Excellent. Okay. So moving on, historic preservation, I'm just kind of paying attention to that. We're still trying to get that sign installed at Fort Point. We're waiting on the Chief Futch from the Coquel tribe is trying to do it as a youth project. So we're kind of waiting for that to get scheduled. Counselor Webb, do you have any port?
Yeah, so the port, let's see, big things. We were able to secure a grant for a new ice machine.
Oh, that's great.
$50,000 grant that, and we ordered it a couple months ago. It arrived last week and it is being installed by some volunteers. And our administrator, Catherine Scobie, has moved on to greener pastures. She has taken a job with Port of Vancouver, in which is huge opportunity for her.
That's great.
She'll be managing projects in the $50 million range annually. So we were blessed to have her get us straightened out, and we have initiated the search for a new administrator. For now, Jesse Bradley,
Mhm.
who is our she was contracted. We contracted our bookkeeping with Jesse, but she applied for the job previously and was second to Catherine during the hire. So we feel like we're in pretty good hands for now, and we got a lot of nasty stuff straightened out, and things are looking good at the board.
Excellent.
That's great.
Very good report.
Has Catherine moved already?
Yeah, she started Monday.
Oh, okay.
She left here Thursday and started there Monday.
Jeepers. Busy gal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, moving on, the Watershed Council is going to be meeting down at the bioswale. It meets every other month, so if people are interested in that, they should be in touch with Meg Humphreys on that. I don't have any other report. And Councillor Brennan, you gave us a written report. Any highlights from the fire board that you wanted to mention? That- Okay,
So
okay.
other than, they're at 14 for volunteers right now,
Uh-huh.
up from, I think they've gotten down to 11.
Hmm.
So
Wonderful. Okay, I think I think this is sort of like an EMS, one of those EMS gratitude weeks or something too, because my sister is in that field, so we should probably express our gratitude to our volunteer firefighters as well, who do so much to keep our community safe. Okay, let's see. So now we are on to old business. So it says old business none, but we do have old business, which is, this is the big thing that we need to discuss tonight, I would say, or one of the big things is figuring out what we want to do direction-wise with, to do better with our homeless population, our homeless camp situation. So I put together some notes to inform our discussion based on that workshop that we all had. It was brought up that we should be thinking about our goals, and I kind of put together the three major areas that were discussed. And I think tonight what we want to do with our meeting is to come up with a sense for which direction of those we want to take. We don't have to get to all the details, but I think we want to kind of come up with a direction. And then there may be some other specific things to consider. So to start our discussion, I know Counselor Webb has said we should get our goals straight first, but I wonder if before we have that conversation, if we could just start by, do people have a sense of what they would want to do of those 3 directions, which would be to disband the camp, to follow the time, place, and manner rules and enforce them, or to try to partner with N2N to do more? I mean, could we maybe just go around the room if people have a sense of where they think they'd like to go and see where people are at to start? Would that be? Can I ask counselors, do people have opinions already? No, you don't, Counselor Rask, Counselor Lovendall, do you have a sense?
I have a question. Gary put a letter out saying that N2N couldn't properly do some of the, Al brought forward some of the things that they wanted to do. So, and that, so exactly, was this saying that they can't partner with us, or?
No, we'd be looking at what the city wants to do, what the
Oh,
council wants to
and
do, and
then you're
then,
going to go forward.
then we could go forward on. But it's pretty clear just with the work that the group has done so far that it's a very complicated problem, and each camper is a unique world unto themselves. And by having a permanent camp there, it creates a real problem for community. So I did some research, and it looked like there's the whole legal thing, reading the LOC report. And I did some research, and it looked like it would be possible maybe to have windows of when they could camp, and then they would have to pack up maybe 2 days a week during the day, and then they could come back that evening. It's an option. So that their camps couldn't get so big because the structures turn into lodges, and then they just acquire more stuff, and then.
So what you're saying is that there could be a time, place, and manner approach that is a little bit different from what we've had, possibly, that could be an approach.
Well, our time, place, and manner approach was good, and we did have a guideline.
But the 72-hour thing throws a whole whoop-de-doo into the thing, because it can't be, reading the LOC thing, it's
72
so
hours
vague.
is to move the camp. I don't believe it applies to them moving on out of the camp at a certain time. That's part of the time, place, and manner. So you can pick a time frame that they would have to leave the camp.
But then the 72-hour thing,
They can come back. So the 72 hours, if you're removing the camp permanently and moving it somewhere else, you'd have to give them 72 hours, I believe. But I'm no attorney.
Yes. 72 hours is if we decide to. The 72 hours is if we decide to move the camp from where it is to another area. That's where the 72 hours comes into play.
but in looking it up, we can't tell them legally that they have to leave every morning at, say, 8 or 10 or whatever.
Well,
That's
isn't
where the
that time, place, and
comes
manner?
into play.
That is, we can.
Because it looked like that still could be an issue legally.
No, that's where the time, place, and manner comes into play.
Which we can enforce. We can do that. As long, yeah.
Because at one time, 3 years ago or whenever it was that we went through this, we said that was the designated camp. And then that next couple of weeks were just horrendous. There were more calls than we'd ever had at the camp. And it seems like we kind of said that we were going to say that that camp, that was not a place that they could camp. So all of a sudden, in a week or so, everybody was gone and everybody was not there for months.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden there was one camp and then another, and we didn't
That was when we were
didn't
enforcing
continue
the,
with
when the
what
time,
we
place, and
were.
manner, right?
And I think what threw it into it, because when I came, you had already made these decisions and had already done this, and this was, but then it was also what had happened was there was a Supreme Court case that was pending. And so at that point, felt like all law enforcement, unless the person was, being combative or causing problems and causing issues within the camp, then a lot of cities, it wasn't enforced. And that's, I think, what happened here too, is that as we didn't want to put ourselves at liability while that court case was going and there were issues. But then when the Supreme Court came back and said against Grants Pass that said, yes, you can enforce these rules. We still have to abide by the state's rules, which are more,
What these are based on.
what these were based on. And so, but we've continued to not enforce, okay, they have to, they can only be there between 10 PM and 8 AM, which was what this original document was. So I think this whole idea and this whole exercise is to say, it's been a number of years now. Is this still working? What are the directions that we want to go? And I think this is difficult because we've had, people who have called or people who have concerns about this, that, moving it can cause issues, leaving it where it's at can cause issues, so it's just, I think just picking this direction of, do you want to keep it in the same place? Do we want to try to improve that same place? Or do you want to try to move it to somewhere else? That was something that other people had brought forward of a possible place. But as city council, you folks are the ones that are going to need to decide what is happening.
So anyway, the kind of three things I put out, because I think if we can come up with a direction, if we feel like we have some sense of what direction we want to take, then like, for example, if we wanted to amend the time, place, and manner, if enforcing the time, place, and manner is the way we want to go, or enough people feel like that, then maybe we just go to that. But if we have a wide range of different opinions about what people want to do, then it's a longer conversation, which is good, and we should have it. But I was just wondering about that. And those options which came out of the discussion of the workshop, again, were to disband the camp. And if we were to disband the camp, it's my understanding then we have to have a place where people can sleep. So if we disbanded it, then we would not be able to say to people, you can't sleep in the park, or you can't sleep on the stoop of the community building, or whatever, those things. So that's the rub there. The other option is to post the rules or some version of the rules that are not in legalese and enforce them, especially in the summer months. I think we've had some pause in enforcement during the winter also because we are just compassionate about rousing people up when it's raining or whatever, that are local citizens. And then the last idea is basically do what we're doing now, but try to fix things and make them better. We had our neighbors identify trash, noise, visual things as problems, and the idea of, can we do some things, or can we work together with End to End to do some things to make this situation a little better? So those are the three big. And the thing about moving it to somewhere else, I think that's an option, but I don't think it's an option for this moment, because we would have to figure that out. And we've looked at a lot of different places. We did it 3 years ago. There's no easy place. So those are stones that would have to be turned. And so I think that's a longer term question. So that's why I kind of picked those three is what I'm seeing. And if anybody has another idea, but I just think if we could look at those three directions, that might be help us to give staff direction.
So I'll just step in. The time, place, and man, I'm wondering if we can't marry a couple of the options. I think there's a fine line between making something inviting, making something so nice that it's inviting, and being humane. Okay, so perhaps we can work with end to end on some aspects. Let's say we go with time, place, and manner. But when I talked with Terry, he said if we had like a wash station, if there's some way we can figure out to get a grant, that would help him
Yes.
greatly. If we had a dumpster, that would help them great. So we can mitigate the problems, but yet, and it is harsh getting people, up at, they can't camp until 10 o'clock at night. Well, in the wintertime, it's been dark for 6 hours. That sort of thing. But, and if law enforcement is able to, enforce the time placement, I think it's like she said, it sounds harsh, but maybe that's the direction we might have to go. We might have to change our time, place, and manner just a bit to make it all work.
And it's what a lot of little communities are doing
Mhm.
because there's just no resource to do anything else.
Right.
And I
So
think
I
that-
just think we shouldn't just say, well, we don't want to work. I think it's important to work with neighbor to neighbor and see what we can do, what we can get, what kind of grants or, how we can be. But yet maybe we have to have the time, place, and manner, but make it, have that married. That's my.
We need to find out how many folks does a small city like ours have to
Right,
cater to? Is
right.
there
So Tim,
number?
I come up. Yeah, what's a reasonable question, in my opinion?
Excuse me, can we please not keep it down in the audience?
The,
And we would like to be respectful of counselors' opinions, please.
statewide, the statewide homelessness rate is 5.4% out of 5.4 of 1,000 people. So that's quite small. Curry County is 6.3 per 1,000. If that's the average, then how we could be expected to care for more than 6.3 persons, maybe we doubled it and called it 12. That's, I mean, what, and to Tim's point, is what are we supposed to, how can we don't have any reason, we have nothing, we can't care for people that we don't have what it takes. And so I think it's realistic to come up with a target that, rather than say, well, we're going to have this large of a, let's get this place or that place. What are we at? How many do we need to serve? And I know that it hasn't necessarily been defined, but I think it's defendable to take those rates and double it and say that that's going to be the maximum that we try to serve. I think that's reasonable. I think that's more than reasonable. And now I don't know what we have, but to your point, making it attractive isn't necessarily, because we don't have the resources required to care for those people, to make it attractive isn't necessarily a good thing, in my opinion. You want to give people a dignified place to rest. That's what the law is. And what I see at Ray's isn't dignified at all. We've created a ghetto,
It's a horrible condition.
and it's
been-
that's what it
It's
is.
not good, Gary. I just
It's
went there yesterday.
It's bad,
Are we all over?
but we created that. So
Okay,
I don't-
let's not have side
more open up.
conversations here, you guys.
if we had
finish,
more
Brett.
open, a more open it doesn't need to be a cool spot to kick it. It needs to be a place to sleep.
Right.
And my position is that let's give that safe place to sleep, not even safe, but that's the thing is we take that responsibility on when we put people together in a small area. We take that safety is now we're responsible for their safety. And I keep thinking of the potential of the sexual assault victim who's in a tent next to another tent that's got a sexual predator in the past or something. And these people have nothing between them but a piece of vinyl, and we can't be there we're this concentration of unfortunate circumstances is really, it compounds all of the woes that we're seeing. I just keep thinking that it's the concentration, and I wonder if we didn't have 3 small little spots, if that wouldn't be less. Trying to think out of the box is all I'm doing.
Well, one of the things to go to that point, and then I'd like to go over to the other side of the table, is when we were enforcing the time, place, and manner, people did leave and disperse.
They did.
And so I guess what I'm saying is that served the function, the enforcement of the time, place, and manner kind of served to disperse people, and that,
We come up against that enforcement piece.
Yeah.
And what we can do is we can, if they don't comply, then they can be removed, right? Basically removed from, then where are they? Go?
That's where the 72 hours comes.
Right.
If they've
And
been
where's
asked
that-
to
and then
move,
where they
then
go?
that's where that comes
You
in.
got 72 hours to go. Now you haven't complied. You got 3 days. Where do they go? They go right back to where they were before we had to camp, out of sight, which takes us right back. We've come full circle. If that's the thing, then why are we doing a camp to begin with?
because
we
if
have
we
to.
don't have a place where we can tell people to go and
I
camp,
understand
then we're
that.
going to have people camping in our parks and in our visitor center
They
vestibule.
They
And
don't want to be there. They want to be out. They don't want to be on the sidewalk in front of because they never were before. They want to be kicking it in. They don't want to be out on blast. They don't want to be on Main Street. They want to be out of sight.
Yeah.
I mean,
I think we have to be able to not have people camping in our park
well, I
you know,
think that you can
with our-
say no camping in the park.
if you have a place where
Everywhere else,
it can be.
I think you can exclude places from.
And we've got our right of ways and all that too, of people's right of ways.
You can't camp in the street.
Counselor Pogwitz, did you have something you were
No,
going to say?
not at this moment. I see that it's going to be 918 a month to provide a handicap dumpster, and Intuit has been kind enough to look for a grant, but that in itself is $12,000 a year just to provide garbage. And then,
And the porta potty.
oh, was that
And
didn't
the
include, oh,
canteen
good.
station,
Then
yeah.
I misread that. Yeah.
So that's the Sanican and the trash care, that
Trash,
1,000,
porta potty and
Yeah.
cleaning.
And that's a handicap one.
Uh-huh.
and the service on the.
Uh-huh. Once a week.
Is it once a week they come?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Counselor Brennan, did you have some things that you wanted to bring up? I know you brought some things to this meeting. I unfortunately, because I came late, I didn't get a chance to read them. Do you have some highlight thing or
Yeah, I
something you'd
just,
like to point
we've,
out?
in anticipation for this, I've been doing a lot of research, and then I'm also on the LIPSIC board, and know that this is a situation everywhere. But we really don't have a whole lot of resources here locally. We do have to do something, and that's where I prepared a packet for you guys so that we can get to some creative thinking about how to tackle this if we're going to continue to provide a space. And whether we do time, place, and manner, or we disband it or whatever, I put together a packet for each of the counselors and for you, Mayor Ann, so that we can kind of look at some things. There's cities that are, and I understand our budget constraints, but there's cities even here in Oregon that are working with the homeless, and instead of the constant handouts, they're giving them a hand up by enlisting them and helping them to beautify the city. So I don't see why that couldn't be something that we add into our manner, in our time, place, and manner. If we're going to provide something to help them, then I think we should have our lawyer look at it and see if that's something that we could do. I mean, if other cities are doing it, I don't see why we couldn't do something like that.
Can you give an example of that? I guess I don't know,
So
so that they
Could
like
we
have to
City
work
Hall-
for an hour.
in the packets that I provided for you guys, Portland, for instance, there's a woman in Portland who started,
I think I got this.
That's right there. That's it.
she started I can't remember what it's called. Ground Score Association, or it's litter.
So it looks like this.
Litter
The
is what-
beginning of that
is what
article,
it's
it looks like
called.
that.
And they have people who are homeless, experiencing homelessness, who are free to come and get safety gear, you know, a vest or whatever, and go and help pick up litter or weed beds or sweep, you know, sidewalks or driveways or whatever. Granted, they have the money to pay for it, but maybe we can look into seeing if there's grants that can help fund some of this stuff. Or maybe End to End can look into some grants that can help fund some of this stuff. I think we need to look at some creative avenues. You know, and it's not just Portland. In one of the articles that I included, there's 6 different cities across the country that are using this tactic, and their success rate of people engaging in this and getting out of homelessness and into an actual place to live is a 70% rate.
So those are some really interesting ideas. So thank you for bringing this. And that would be definitely a case where we would probably have to be partnering with End to End, because obviously we don't have city capacity to do it. But
Yep.
it's interesting ideas.
I think, didn't we have them at one time, some of the people in the camp monitoring, being part of the monitoring of the camp and making sure that, you know, involving them? It just we didn't involve enough. We have to recognize that some of those folks won't be able to participate in any of this, but that's fine if you get a number of people to take ownership and be involved in something.
The thing is, you know, it's something like this is about restoring dignity
Mhm.
and self-worth versus constantly having the handouts, which is keeping them down. You know, and I think that's why they're having a 70% success rate with these programs.
Mhm.
So I really think that, you know, we need to look at something like that if we're going to continue with providing a spot. Maybe that's something that we work into our time, place, and manner. Because looking at the LOC, I've read through it a couple of times. The latest one, and the one that you included in an email to us, was this is going to be constantly changing and adapting.
Mhm.
And so we can help change and adapt it to serve everybody, not just a small minority of the communities.
You know, when we first worded this ordinance, there was, the issue of the language was, involuntarily homeless. And I asked that we remove that from the ordinance, and now I'm wondering if that wasn't a mistake. Because that qualifier, at first, I thought, well, how will we determine what voluntarily and what involuntarily is. But if we do, if that language was in it, and then we had created some requirements and an individual decided not to comply with our requirements, then in a sense, would that be voluntary?
Not 100% following, I don't think, because I thought what you were saying to begin with is are they voluntarily homeless or not? Meaning, are they choosing to be homeless versus are they?
Right. And so then the camp becomes that in a way, right? No? Wouldn't that be their place of resting? Wouldn't that kind of be? I'm just trying to figure out how you put teeth into this thing.
Yeah.
Because we could plan this till we're blue in the face, but unless there's teeth in it, and that's what we come down to. At the end of the day, there is just nothing that anybody can do. We can exclude them from our established area, and then they go back right into the brush where they were before. And if that was a problem, now you've got that problem. But honestly, I didn't think it was. The concentration, I continue to believe that the concentration is what the problem is. But
I think we have like a couple of different levels of things to deal with here. One is, as a city, we have these very tight constraints about what we can and cannot do because of liability. And it sort of sounds, I mean, like I in the past have thought like, oh, that sounds like an abstract concept and it's a cop out or whatever. But what it really means is that if we make a wrong decision or something goes wrong, that the whole community could become indebted, like if we were to get sued. So, I mean, it's really something we have to think about on behalf of everyone in the community.
and if
So-
Wendy's closes down,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
the disproportionately would affect people of lower income.
Yeah.
Absolutely 100%, because I can order from Costco, you can order from Costco. The persons in these lower income situations can't. And so while we may be concentrating on this dozen or 2 dozen individuals, there's 400 low income persons whose security is also inadvertently and by extension at risk.
Yeah. So,
We've got to consider too.
Right.
And
so I think, the things that the city has to consider are what can we do with our ordinance? I mean, this is kind of like the tool we have.
Right.
And then I think there's a lot of other things that can be done with people that are like people to people things. We have long had a tradition in our community, as long as I can remember, of people helping individuals that are unsheltered or that have mental health issues that are not the city doing it, but that are people that are just figuring out ways to be helpful. And I think that's also, something that end to end could really help us with, because that might be because it sounds like almost every person has their own story or their own challenges. So to figure out how to help each person really is a conversation, or to me, it seems like that might also just be part of the reality of what we could accomplish by, figuring out how to have end to end help us. Councilor
Um,
Burns.
I like the idea of having an advisory group that would include whatever community resources we have, law enforcement,
Adapt.
and to choose whatever we choose today, but to feel like we're not going to come up with the solution in one shot, that it's an evolving problem and we can see what works, what doesn't. We try this, we try that, and we report on it maybe each month as like one of the liaisons, and end to end. And I think has shown interest in helping whatever way it can. So I think tonight, trying to figure out what that first step is going to be is probably the main thing that we could do. And it seemed like the time, place, and manner was our least problem. When nobody was in that camp for whatever, it was like 9 months or something. Like Brett was saying, it seemed like we had very little problems. If we shift to that and the camp, we say everybody's got a week to comply, that in a week, that this is what's going to happen. And end-to-end can be involved at that time with everybody in the camp and make the contacts and connections, see what they're going to be up to and help, that would be a possibility.
If we do time and place and manner, which is, they're still going to be there for a certain period of time. And we're still going to have problems with trash, with needing to,
End-to-end, if the
Yeah.
council wanted, would go ahead and look for grants to do the.
right. Because we'll still need, whether we don't need, in my opinion, we have human beings there, we need to help them supply. That's not making it so attractive to have a place to wash your hands or to use the bathroom. That to me is not a luxury. And I'd much rather have that than going off just anywhere.
And we did, I mean, I heard Terry say loud and clear, he thought that would
That'd be
help.
great.
And that may be something where we could try it and see how it goes. And if it helps, good. If it doesn't help, then.
Right.
And the thing, I don't know, Melissa, if you had a chance to ask Lori this, but this question, I mean, the thing about this little LOC thing that I don't know you guys read was just being very cautious about installing structures or features in because of the idea that because what Brett was saying, if you put features in and you're telling people go here and then somebody gets harmed and we're not protecting them, that's, and I wondered did you manage to talk to Lori about that at all?
Not
Further?
specifically to Lori because she's been gone too and then I was gone, so no. But for me in this, from the staff perspective with LOC, it seems like under B on your sheet, 1, close or disband the camp and to compel homeless to disperse. I don't think that is a valid option for the city because that will open us up to liability. That will be something that I think that's kind of a dangerous.
Why would that open us up to liability?
Because again, my understanding, and I talked to Judge Milliman about this too, because he's been in different places, and he has talked about that we need to be working with, because again, I come back to, especially the people in the wintertime, those are the citizens of Port Orford. They are our citizens. They are not people who are just going through and who are passing through. Those are Orfordites. And so I kind of felt like in the wintertime, not having our police officers roust them out at, when it's pouring rain and being miserable, it seems like that was reasonable. Now that we're coming to the time when all people are going to be more transient through our town. If they come by in big motorhomes, we call them tourists. If they're riding their bikes, they're tourists. If they do this, then, they might be sleeping here. But it always increases. So for me, it feels like we have to try and walk the line. And if there was a one perfect answer, it's what every city and what every group would be doing. So everyone's wrestling with this, right? So just to honor that. And I also want to honor the fact that people are here to try and help us and work with us and are working to help this. So I think closing and disbanding, I think we can open ourselves up to more issues by having no place for them to go. Right.
But not liability.
I don't know that I agree with that. To be honest.
I don't think I do either.
I'm sorry.
Okay. No, you don't have to be sorry. I felt as we went to a lot of these things. And I'm going to the summer conference. Again, there's another opportunity that's in Ashland that I'm going to go, and this always comes up. So I'll maybe have new information too. That's in July. So hopefully I can get more information, but it just felt like if we become a place that says anyone who's unhoused is not welcome here,
No,
that becomes a problem too.
That's not what I'm saying that if we went to disbursement, we go back to the way it was before Ray's was the camp area. Because the biggest concern is if Ray's decides to shut its doors, I honestly don't believe that there is another grocery store that would be capable. You're not getting a Safeway. You're not getting a Fred Meyer. McKay's would be the only one, and I don't know if they can even grow into another facility.
Mhm.
So what I'm trying to say is we end up like Drain with no grocery store. And if you think people are mad at us now, you wait until there's no grocery store, because they're gonna have to drive 25 miles one direction or the other to get groceries.
Could I read this, number F, state created danger? It says in 1989, the United States Supreme Court, DeCheney versus Winnebago County, blah, blah, interpreted the 14th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution to impose duty upon the government to act when the government itself has created dangerous conditions. This interpretation created a legal principle known as the state created danger.
Correct.
The Ninth Circuit has interpreted the state created danger doctrine to mean that a government entity has to act when the government actor affirmatively places the plaintiff in danger by acting with deliberate indifference to a known or obvious danger. That applies, in my opinion, to a camp. We create that, and that is, again, to your point, we don't want to end up sued, and that right back to the point I had earlier was is that if we're going to have this dense population of homeless, unhomed, or whatever it is that is correct, then we need to somehow afford security for that dense population. That's what this says.
I just want to speak to Tim's point. I don't know, and do we know that Ray's is going to close?
Oh, we have no idea that Ray's
That's right.
closed.
That's
But
right. Okay, that's all my,
let me just say this. So let's just say this was just right outside your fence at your house. How would you feel about that? So we read, you weren't here, but I'm sure you got a copy. I gave Brett a copy. If not, he can share it with you, of the paper that Terry gave us of the
Right.
problems they're having at that
I was here.
facility. Oh, were you?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I even spoke to him, and that's why I spoke to
Okay,
that issue.
But it's horrible what he writes in those papers, and I don't believe he's stretching the truth in any way, shape, or form, to be honest with you.
Right, and so I heard that too.
Yeah.
I heard his,
It's bothersome. I didn't even, so I knew they were having problems. I hear a lot of complaints from a lot of women that go to Ray's that are scared to go to Ray's to shop. Okay? So there again, if there's an incident where somebody gets assaulted or something like that, are we going to be responsible for allowing this to happen in that location? There's a good chance we can get sued for that. So we can get sued for just about anything we do.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
That's
so-
That's what the
absolutely.
LOC
That's the whole point.
thing all
That's
over.
what the LOC
Brett's
says. Like,
point
Ask your
Yeah.
lawyer.
about if we say no, we disperse the camp,
Mhm.
they go off to one of our parks. We have and we're allowing that because we want them to disperse, and someone is assaulted. And that would be highly unlikely, but if that would be the same sort of liability. So
They're,
That's
yeah,
just-
we're
I
liable
just don't agree.
regardless of what we do.
yes, what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Yeah.
No,
So I think
that
that,
would be- we wouldn't create that situation. We wouldn't create that tinderbox. We-
But- But communities all over the place are doing this because the state has pretty much said, the
I know,
legislature has said,
but
you
you
have to
have to
give
manage-
people a place to be,
You have to manage a camp if you create it. That's right here.
which is why the thing about, it's kind of like how much infrastructure. I mean, that's what I'm reading is, or from those events we were going to where people were kind of like less is more for some of these camps, give people a place to sleep. But once you start, providing for, more structures or that kind of thing. And as Sarah was saying, I mean, I don't think necessarily having an outhouse is really
Structure.
that, but it's,
Or a dumpster.
yeah.
And yeah, it's a public health issue
So
also.
it seems like to get back to these three ideas, just so that we can find a path forward here, is we've had a couple of people saying that they do think we should disband the camp, maybe, or consider it. And then some other people saying that they're leaning more towards the idea of, working on the time, place, and manner rules and seeing if we can amend them and move forward with that. And then I think that, I've heard two counselors also say that we could do work on the rules and then also be working with end to end on maybe some other ideas moving forward. Like we don't have to, as Gary said, we don't have to pick the whole shebang tonight, but just a direction. And then we could see what works or doesn't work.
So the way you get to a direction is a motion is made.
Yeah.
So if I make a motion to disband the camp, then we go through a vote, that passes or fails, and then we move on to the next motion. That's
Okay.
the way it works.
Okay, well, we can do it that way. I was just trying to see if there was any general consensus we could come to, but we could do it that way.
If not,
Yeah, okay. So,
so I would make a motion to disband the current camp.
I'll second that.
okay, any further discussion on that? I will call for the vote. Counselor Rask,
No.
Counselor Lovendall,
No.
Counselor Webb,
Webb, yes.
Counselor Pogwizd,
Tim, yes.
Counselor Burns,
No.
Counselor Brennan.
Yes.
So that's 3-3. I would say no.
Okay, so that motion fails.
Okay. Does anybody else want to make a motion?
I would move that we continue to work with N2N and make efforts to enforce the time, place, and manner restrictions while working with N2N to try and solve the problem in another manner. I'll second that.
First and second. I'll call for the vote.
Wait.
Oh, further
I
discussion?
got some discussion on that one.
Yeah.
I don't completely understand the motion. It was to continue to status quo.
It was to attempt to enforce our time, place, and manner restrictions,
That exists.
right? And to continue to work with N2N to come up with some other ideas to resolve the issues.
And I'm wondering if we could,
2 and 3.
if we were to have an advisory group, would it be appropriate to have it as part of the motion, or would that be a separate motion?
That's a
or-
separate discussion.
Mm-hmm.
And I also think that if we were to go down the path of working with the time, place, and manner, that there may be some amendments that would be in order to, but so that this particular motion, if I'm hearing it,
It's status quo. We don't need to even make a motion.
No.
That already exists.
well, we're trying to figure out what the direction is. So, okay. We need to take, I need to entertain a motion to extend the.
So moves.
Second.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. Counselor Rask,
Yes.
Counselor Lovendall,
Yes.
Counselor Webb,
Webb, yes.
Counselor Pogwizd,
Tim, yes.
Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Counselor Brennan.
Yes.
Thank you. So,
So would this be basically going right to the ordinance that we already have?
well, it sounds like from what Counselor Rask has suggested that it's the same ordinance that we already have. But what I'm saying is we may want to then also consider.
Joseph, who's taking notes, said, please have Counselor Burns state his vote again. I assume that was for, well, to extend the meeting. So what was your vote to extend the meeting?
Yes.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so Burns stated yes.
So I think, Counselor Webb, if we're going to stay status quo, unless we're going to add something to it, I think we don't really need a motion.
Well, I think the motion is we've had this on the books and we haven't been enforcing it. So the idea is to give direction to staff to say, we want you to enforce this.
Okay.
And I mean, that's, I think,
Yeah.
it's not status quo. It's trying to make
Okay.
things work better
We
is
should,
how I
we
hear it.
should enforce what we have. I agree. If we have this document, we should use it.
We might not be here right now if we were.
And we can always work on changes
Sure.
after.
Absolutely.
I think it's
Becomes the question of
important.
time, I think, is one question.
So if we're gonna change the ordinance, then we need to have an ordinance in front of us with those changes, and then we could change it. But I don't think we can pull that off right here, right now, tonight.
Well, we had that, we had that discussion. So that's the good point.
What is the time? Do we have the times? Do we have that here? Do we know what?
Yeah, actually, why don't we take, what do you guys think about taking a 5-minute break and we can put the time, place and manner ordinance in front of everybody to see, because it may be a minor thing with
I have it.
time. Yeah. Okay. So let's, can I entertain a motion to take a 5-minute break?
Got it.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, Counselor Brennan,
Yes.
Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Counselor Pogwitz, Counselor Webb,
That'd be it.
Counselor Lovendall,
Yes.
Counselor Rask.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. We'll reconvene in 5 minutes.
Okay, copy of this. Yep. So I will stop the recording.
This conference will now be recorded.
Okay. Yes, we
Hey,
got it.
good job, Joseph. Thank you. We're back. This thing's got gremlins.
Okay, so we were talking about
So the time.
the time,
Thank you,
and
Joseph.
Administrator Radcliffe, you had some suggestions to or recommendations perhaps on time.
Yes, I do. Okay, so it says persons who experience homelessness, I think houseless is correct now, if I'm not mistook, may camp overnight and otherwise take efforts to keep warm and dry from the hours of, it says currently 10 p.m. to 8 a.m. That staff recommends that we should have that be that they could set up at 6 p.m. because it's, I mean, especially in the dead of winter, it's already dark, but at least it would be a little bit earlier. People could get set up and then until 9 a.m.
Can we say an hour before sunset, an hour after sunrise or something like that? Because that would keep you in line with your
Seasonal.
thinking, yeah,
I think it would be,
or whatever, you know. I
Yeah.
mean,
it just seems like, wouldn't that be hard to, I mean, wouldn't, I guess it depends on if people have a, just have a hard fast time, and then you'd have to be like, how would somebody know what
Well,
time is
sunset
sunset?
is, you.
How would you know it's an hour before sunset, I guess?
Well, because you can tell, you look at your, I mean, I see, well, not, look, there's plenty of technology in the hands of, it's not hard to find out what time sunset is. If that's if the only thing you got to figure out
Is what time it is?
is what time sunset is. I mean, we all have to figure out more than that before we step out of bed in the morning. So that's not,
But I
Really?
think perhaps for staff, it might be easier if we have a hard fast.
well, you'd have to change that.
Time.
If the notion is that we don't want them to have to set up in the dark, right? 6 PM in the wintertime, it's been dark for an hour and a half.
Yep.
So if you change that to an
Unless you
hour
just take it to
before-
4, unless you just make it 4 p.m. all the time. So they have to be out between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m.
Could have winter and summer hours.
We could
Yeah,
have
why don't we
summer
just tailor it to the time of year, from certain months to certain months, it's this
Could be
time.
like the time
Follow the
change.
time change.
Right.
I mean, it's,
I mean, this is
It's more
good for
cumbersome,
right
but-
now. These times work for right now, but
But they-
come November, they won't anymore, but we can
well,
change
10
it. later.
o'clock though, but 10 o'clock in my
10.
opinion is, I mean, gosh, who wants to wait till 10 o'clock?
That's late.
to Get ready. I mean, I've been asleep 2 hours already, right? So what I'm trying to say is, I think 10 o'clock is. a
Too
little bit
late.
Extreme. Yeah,
Mhm.
late.
I agree.
And I think 8 a.m. is also extreme,
Eight's
just
a little
because I
early,
think
I
also,
mean-
I know.
We don't have,
Staff comes on and they have things to do, dealing with what happened the night before,
That's
and
exactly what I
so
was-
it's,
We're going to have enforcement go through there every single morning. That's the only way this works is,
Right.
if
so
there's.
what
enforcement.
time is that gonna happen? I mean, I think that's a key question, is what time?
Well, I don't think we necessarily want one guy having to do it without backup on call. I mean, if this is, we wouldn't, if this is, you would want someone on, you would want an officer to be able to have backup if he's going into this thing every single day. It's like the bombers of when we bombed Vietnam, North Vietnam, and we ran down the same track every single day at the same time, and our B-52s were getting shot down. You're setting them up.
Can
And
we
you
ask Hank?
don't want to set up law enforcement for that. They know we're coming in here at a certain time every day. They don't want that. I wouldn't want that.
Well, they're just supposed to be gone.
Well, but you're going in with the enforcement and we know that there's issues.
Chief, do you have a
with
thought on
addiction
this?
And all sorts of ill-mannered things going on that I wouldn't want to go in there alone in the morning. I mean,
So typically, when we do come up with a time, from what I've heard from other departments that deal with this, is typically they don't expect it at the deadline. They expect it about an hour after that deadline. So you understand what I'm
So
saying?
you have some variation.
so.
Because if it's not, if
9
we
a.m.
say 9, their goal is to try to produce some movement by 10. is what I hear from a few.
So if we say 9 and 4, then we mean 10 to 3 and that's 5 hours. I mean, that's,
I'm just throwing out there what I've heard.
yeah, no, and I get that. That's,
Okay, we have had Chief Hobart step up to the dais. Did you have something that you can constructively add to help us with this, Chief?
No matter what you guys come up with, it's going to be a hit and miss thing for about 3 days a week, 4 days a week. It can be pretty regular. Like during the school year, there's always somebody on at, by 9 or 8, somewhere in there. So if you made it like 9 o'clock or something like that, that'd be fine. And as far as backup goes, that's not an issue. An officer can go in there and assess the situation, make contact, and spread the word. And I honestly believe once said word has been spread for a short amount of time, a couple weeks, a few weeks, then things are kind of correct themselves anyway, I believe. It's just might be my naive guess, but that has happened in the past.
but when the enforcement thing again, Hank, and we talked about this before, is ultimately, there's not much that can be done except the expulsion from the camp, right? I mean, you
Well,
would cite them,
Like we spoke before, it's going to be citations that go into this court as a first step
right,
after somebody has refused to comply, that is.
right.
And then that increases up to a trespass situation if there's just absolute refusal to comply with those citations or the instructions from the city.
And I think that's actually why maybe having the strategy of having a time, place, and manner, but then also working with volunteers from end to end who could be trying to help people gain skills to be compliant, or, I mean, it could work together perhaps better than just having the enforcement.
So you think 8 o'clock is okay?
No,
It was
No.
it was postulated to a 9 a.m. thing, but that doesn't mean an officer's going to be there at 9 exactly. Might be within that hour from 9 on, but that's fine. We're looking for compliance, not
Not
citations that do nothing when they get to our municipal court.
But that's what, I mean, the threat of some punishment is what puts teeth into
Sure.
an ordinance or a law.
To them, the annoyance of citations for most people will be enough. To some, it won't.
Right. Well, and then we've seen it in some of the properties around town where we would, ask them to do this or tell them to do that, and they just wouldn't comply and
Yeah, it's just the nature of ordinances, which is a
Right.
civil order. So,
right.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, there really still isn't much that we can do.
I don't think we have a choice but to try. And I honestly think
Well,
this is the best.
I-
Last time,
I'd say this is
This is
everybody
the best answer.
left the camp.
right.
Well, and if that's what we want, and where are they going?
That's what this
They're
ordinance
dispersing
did.
back into the community.
They're only going for the day though.
No, they were gone.
some
They were
of them
gone.
chose not to participate in
Because
that.
it was too much to
It was
do.
too much hassle, so they set their tent up in the bush that they were in before this all started, and there wasn't a problem.
Okay, but we took a vote. We decided to not this council decided to not disband the camp. So we're now moving on to talk about what can we do.
But this creates a designated camp,
This
and it
creates a
gives them
designated space
a
to sleep.
guidelines to make it work. And most of them probably aren't going to camp because it's too much work.
Or
They
we
have
will
to cut
see,
down the stuff that they've got.
and then we have to go to, I appreciate what you were saying earlier, Counselor Burns, about that, part of what we have to do is try something,
Mhm.
try to make it better.
Right.
And assess it. And if it doesn't work, then we do something different, or we hopefully, one of the things that, that has been discussed is that if, communication is had with end to end, or they're trying to make things better, other ideas may come up that would work better as we go. Or Counselor Brennan's idea of could we, I don't feel like we have capacity to add something about manner tonight into this, but I think it's an idea that could be.
No, but it's something we need to
Yes,
explore.
that we
We'd
could
have to
explore, but that idea that we can continue to do things, make adjustments.
Have to be on the agenda.
Number 6.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that probably needs to be changed to, but it's not limited to adapt
Yes.
health and then scratch the successor entity probably.
I'm sorry, where is that?
On
Number
number
six.
On page 2.
Just changes coast community to adapt.
Thank you.
And I don't know if it's called adapt.
We're in
Health.
discussion right now, aren't we?
Pardon me?
On a motion and a second.
Well, yes, we did do that motion and a second. You're right. We did that. And so pardon me, I did not.
But I think that we interrupted that with our break, didn't we?
Oh,
Uh,
okay. So
Yes, we
probably-
did, because we then
Yeah.
came back to do this. So we have a first and a second, and then we called for a discussion.
Right,
The
right.
discussion was on this. And so the first and the second was to pass this and to work with end to end.
Typically,
And-
though, we get a vote first before you go to discussion.
Well, we got a first and a second, then you have a discussion, then you take the vote.
Oh, yeah.
So we have the first and the second, we've been
We're in
discussing.
discussion, right?
And so the discussion, the question of the discussion is, are we going to, I guess, make some amendments here before we
But that wasn't the,
move forward with that? Or are we going to,
that wasn't the motion though.
that wasn't the motion, but we're discussing changes that we would like to see. So,
So
I can
it could
withdraw
be,
my second if you want. I thought the motion did involve,
I think it was just time, place and manner, but I think if we went back to the ordinance and made the few changes and then moved to
Right.
pass,
But typically you would vote to see if it passes before you
Yeah,
go.
before you
through
go,
all this.
that's true.
okay, so we can do it that way. Why don't we?
I'll withdraw my motion.
No, well, what
No,
if we,
we'll-
it sounds like the best way to do it is to choose the general direction. We had a vote about disbanding the camp. We did not vote for that. Now let's have a general vote on moving forward with time, place and manner. And working together with end to end, which was your motion.
Right.
But knowing that we're going to come back
But
because
we
we
already
want,
have that. We already have this. We have this. We don't need to take any action. We need to direct staff to enforce the ordinance.
well, we are having a discussion about which direction we want of these directions that we've been discussing. So that's the discussion.
Understood, but that ought to be the default. By default, that should be what we're doing. If we
Okay,
don't do
so,
it- You know what I'm saying? That exists. That's our compass right now.
right,
and
but we're
it's not-
trying to get clarity that if that's what council still wants to do.
It's not our luxury to disregard ordinances.
we can change.
We can change them.
So the
But we
motion
can't
could be
disregard them.
to look over the
right.
current, to look over the current time, place and manner ordinance, which you want.
She could make that motion. She could
Right.
add that to her motion.
Right.
Yes.
Or move to,
I thought you
direct
were
staff
just saying you wanted us to do a motion first to get the clarity and direction before we go through all the,
Motion and a second.
Yeah.
There will be a vote. And then we would have discussion.
well, no, there'd be a first and a second, then we have a discussion, then you
Right.
vote on it.
But we're having a discussion on something that's not in the motion.
Right, because
That's
we
the problem.
started to discuss the actual thing. So now if we go back and discuss if we want to do this, so I guess the proper manner forward would be for you to withdraw your first and second. Let's hammer this out and we'll have to go through this and then we
just
can
do
do
a
it.
Simple motion of let's go through the ordinance and make changes.
Okay.
A second, and then we'd vote on that. But that's not included in her motion is what they.
Right, okay, thank you for the clarification.
we could
I'll
direct,
withdraw my motion.
we
Withdraw my second.
could have a discussion and direct staff to come back with a amended resolution and have it advertised so the community could come speak to it at our next regular meeting. And until, for now though, we do have rules and ordinance on the books that should be enforced until we change those rules. And I think that like, again, like what Hank said, maybe we wouldn't even be having this conversation if we were doing what we said we were going to do when we passed that ordinance. We said, this is what we're going to do, and then we didn't do it.
So Brett,
Yes, ma'am.
I have to say that I disagree with you a little bit. I think that it would be we would be better served because I think that some of the times in this are counter to enforcing
Sure.
and
Yeah.
doing the thing. So I think if we're going to make a motion, it would be something to accept the idea of time, place, and manner, but review it and make the changes.
That's what I
Okay.
propose. I propose, well, I didn't propose anything. I'm saying
No, I
what we
know.
could do is we have an existing ordinance and we should adhere to that. Because again, it's not, we don't get to just say, you know, it's not working, but we can say that we can have a discussion, and after that discussion, we can direct staff to bring back an amended ordinance or ideas of such and have it on the minute, on the agenda so that the community can come speak to it, because it's an ordinance. It's, you know, you don't do that in the dark, you know, you do
No, I know.
with fully informed community so that they can have input, because we could have 100 people in here and say, we don't want it at raise. Are you crazy? Or we could have 100 people say, we do want it at raise.
Well, we put it on, we
it on
have
the
this,
agenda.
we have it on the agenda this
For
time
discussion,
to
but we
make
don't have
a,
an ordinance.
to make a direction, to choose the
Right, but
direction
that's
that we want to
That's a
do.
lot different than having an ordinance, proposed ordinance on the agenda.
But it's only, we're only talking about changing the time from 8 PM
Right,
to
that would
8 to
be-
9 or something. I mean,
if you're comfortable with calling that,
I think the thing that I would like to do is make sure we can give staff some, they've asked us for direction.
right.
And when I've asked staff to give us recommendations, they've said, we need your direction. So that's kind of where, with summer coming on, I feel like that's the responsibility
Well,
of
what I heard
us.
was, what I heard as we discussed this is that other than the time,
Yes.
I haven't heard any arguments against anything other than time, and the
Yes.
time argument is relevant. I completely agree.
Yeah.
How we achieve that might, you know, I think that the sunset sunrise thing is, because that's when parks are open and closed and things like that, is sunrise and sunset. That's anyway. But it has to, you can simply direct staff to bring back a draft ordinance at our next meeting that it has those changes made to it. But we can't just on the fly say we're going to change these hours, because it's a significant change, in my opinion. That's a significant change, because we've seen it go from 10 people in the camp to 0 people in the camp when those hours are changed or when they're enforced. So it's a big piece of that. In my opinion, it's a big piece of it. And there might be people that object to it. They might want, no, we don't want that. We want them to be able to stay and leave their tents up, or we want even less hours, or, you know, the community has a right to speak to this.
I think we need to do something next council meeting.
Well, we have
We're
some.
going to be into June,
We're going to
so
be into halfway through the summer. We wait till our next.
Well,
time.
what do you want to have a special meeting?
Oh, and I'm
I
just
just don't
saying,
want to,
I personally don't think that is the change from 8 to 9. And Hank says that's a better time. That's not that significant a
That's the staff,
change.
that's the staff recommendation.
well, I'll make a motion that we
And then,
continue with the ordinance that we had with the change of 6 PM setup and 9 AM breakdown.
someone want to look up how you change an ordinance? I mean, we don't get to just do things. We have to follow certain,
And there has to be 2 readings, so
it's not, I'm
we're
not
not
gonna,
gonna instantly fix this today.
I just don't, we want to be, we do things.
I know we
So,
can't break.
do I have
I don't-
permission to speak on this?
Yes, thank you so much, Joseph.
Yes, let me just get, yes, Councilors Webb and Pogwist are correct. In order to formally change the code, we would have to put it out as an ordinance and let the public know we were voting on it. But what you could do to, I think, accomplish what you want tonight is make a motion to enforce the existing time, place, manner as written, and make a liaison to end if you would want. As staff revises the time, place, manner ordinance in the way that you want, and then you have to tell us what you want, like seasonal hours or specific hours. And then we can come back after noticing it, so you can vote on that.
Thank you, Joseph. So do you want to make a motion to do that then, Brett, since you almost did? But did not?
Well,
Or does someone else want to? I would entertain a motion for someone to
so
make
my
that
motion
motion.
would be to direct staff.
Can you speak
to-
into that
I'm
microphone
sorry,
so Jeff
so
can
I
hear you?
direct staff to bring amended resolution, or was that ordinance? It'd be by resolution, wouldn't it? Is that
It's
how
an
we?
ordinance, bring an amended ordinance, I
So
think.
amend the ordinance, amended ordinance. And I think we could do that in 2 readings, couldn't we? We could do it in 2 readings.
Mhm.
You can
Go
do,
read it in full.
Depending on the extent of the changes, you could do it in one. You would just have to read the changes in full.
So we could do, yeah. So then,
I don't think you have to specify that. I think you just have to say, ask the staff to bring the ordinance to the next meeting, and then they can help us figure
with,
out the best way to do it.
right, but I would like to put the specific change into that motion. That way the staff has adequate direction.
Okay.
My personal thing is I think it's a lot easier to do the sunset sunrise thing, but if you want to do seasonally, then I think that's more complicated. I do. But. that
Okay,
would
so
be
why
up
don't we
that
say
would be
to
up the group.
time, why don't you just say the motion, direct staff to make recommendations on time? And we had also described changing the Coast Community Health
Oh,
to
yes.
adapt.
Yeah.
Um,
Homeless, some of the language is not appropriate. Homelessness is now unsheltered. That.
Mhm.
Okay.
I will work on that.
So my motion would be to direct staff to bring a amended ordinance for us to consider at our next regular business meeting.
Second.
Okay, we have a first and second.
So that was Rask who seconded the motion, Joseph.
Any further
Thank you.
discussion?
Thanks, Joseph.
I will call for the vote. Counselor Brennan,
yes.
Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Counselor Pogwizd,
Tim, yes.
Counselor Rask,
Yes.
Counselor Lovendall, Counselor Webb.
Webb, no.
I did not hear Counselor Lovendall's vote.
Yes. Sorry.
Thank you.
Now,
So,
are we going to have the staff proceed with the existing ordinance?
That's what's on the books now. And so yes, that's what we'll do.
but we can, I think, what we've tried to do is give direction that we would like to have this enforced. I don't know if we have to say anything more than that since it is in the books and we'd like to have it enforced is what we're interested in.
And then we would post those rules.
Correct. So I will, yep.
Don't need to
I haven't
chisel them in stone or anything because there will be some changes here pretty soon.
No, they're just going to be on a paper
They
laminated.
should be.
Which is what I brought to the discussion before of this, do we want to post this? And then it was questions. So that's why we're in this process.
Legally, we have-
Yep, absolutely, for sure.
Okay, so a few other items under this agenda item before we move on. During the break, Dr. Lowry mentioned to me that something he had not said earlier during his comments, which is that End to Hen has already received a grant for almost $20,000 to help with food and a porta potty and hand wash and dumpster, right? So to the question of having resources, these guys have already gone out and got them. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
the question now,
And then they're going to put in the hand washing and dumpsters.
well, then the question now is, they have achieved the capacity resources to do that. And so the question for us is, do we want to proceed with that? And I mean, can we just,
Well, wouldn't it be, I mean, technically it would, if that's what happens is they could put in a right-of-way permit to ask if they could put a hand washing station and a porta potty on the right-of-way.
By the way, use permit.
So the only real problem,
The grant money, 10,000 of it is for food for Monday night meals. 7,500 is for the existing porta potty.
Oh, at your house.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's spoken for. 2,500 are going to be for other food sources.
Okay.
But there are lots of other options, and I'm told by all the grant people that the money is out there if you ask for it.
Okay, sorry about that. I'd misunderstood. Thanks, Al.
so one question I had was,
Into the mic, please.
oh, sorry. One question I had was, if we get to the point of putting the wash station and the dumpster, I believe it has to be open to the public, to everybody. You can't designate a group that is for. So I don't think it can be locked.
Oh, the dumpster can.
You know,
I don't
the
know.
South Coast used to have pay for a porta potty and hand washing station that was right by the bank. Remember that? They did. And it seems to me reasonable to ask to try and get, what's it called? What are they?
Who did you say?
CTR? Are you
Who
talking
paid
about
for it?
CTR?
No.
Paid for it?
Remember when the girls were still at the bank before they built this other building?
Uh-huh.
Julie and
Tanya.
Tanya.
Talking about employees at the bank?
Huh?
Talking about employees at the
No,
bank?
no, they were outreach for
So they're women who
Coast
work for
Community Health.
who work for a
Coast
company,
Community. They work for Coast Community Health.
women who work for them.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they had a porta potty and a hand washing station there, and that wasn't at anyone's request or anything. It was because they saw that it was needed.
Yeah.
And maybe because they're in the business of health.
Yeah.
It might behoove Adapt to work with us on something like that as well.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that I think is trickier for us than it might be for other people is for another entity, it might be much more, we might not have the same problems that we would have as a city. So,
Sounds like N2N has it figured out, but I still believe that it probably has to be provided for the public, meaning everybody.
but the only problem with that is that we obviously can't have everybody in town dumping their trash in that dumpster. So I don't understand how we
know.
would.
I don't know how
I think one of the ideas that they talked about was having a closed dumpster, so maybe that they would that they would get a right-of-way permit to have, and that they would open it and close it to use for the purpose of helping to keep that space
Okay.
in good hygiene, or if that's the right word.
Good word.
Anyway, okay, well, so it's getting late, you guys. I think we have a good first step here, which is to move forward with a time, place, and manner. The other piece that maybe is we didn't really take a vote to work together with N2N or anything, but Gary has put forward the idea of this advisory group, which was one of the things that's discussed. And so maybe that would be something we should form, and then that group could come back to us. Because I sort of envision, or for what I heard you talking about last time, Dr. Hell, was the idea that maybe we start small with just, like the dumpster situation, maybe the most important thing to start with, and see how that goes. And rather than like we don't have to come up with the whole thing right now. And so maybe if we just have that as a goal to start, setting up an advisory committee and working on a thing that could be something we would work on. Melissa, do you think we could have staff or Hank to be part of that? Working with if we had somebody from Adapt, somebody from the city, from law enforcement, neighbors,
Yeah.
community that could participate to help?
I mean, if Yes, of course. This is an issue for our city. And so of course, I want to put the time and the effort into helping that. So of course, my only concern is if we, is like us getting into a formal agreement with this group to do that. I think that's another place where that could open us up to something. So if it's kind of like I don't know if you're talking about like making this almost like not a commission, but another committee that the city is overseeing, or
I think
it's
we
just
don't,
kind of
I think it would work, I think it would work better if it was sort of more informal, but from hearing earlier, Jerry talking about adapt and it just sort of seems like if we can foster the circumstance of collaboration,
Absolutely.
whether or not it's really under the auspices of the city, we
It could be
know,
like the watershed
yeah,
committee.
like our community has so
Yeah.
many volunteer organizations and things that happen, and it might be better for it to not be under the city, but to have the city participate.
Yeah.
Or to, or not, and then have people come to us, that advisory committee come to us if we have a counselor who wants to serve on it. I mean, that might be the fine way to go.
Probably
that
ad
might
hoc.
be
Would
the
love to
better
be
way
on
to
it.
do it. I think that's a better
Ad
way to
hoc's
do
way
it.
better, I think.
Yeah, because I think automatically putting staff in the middle of it then creates a little bit too, but then that group could definitely come give their
We
input.
just agree on something.
Okay. Okay, so it sounds like I've heard,
Did just
we
agree
have,
on something?
Sarah has volunteered to participate, Counselor Lovendall. So that would be great. So I think what we will do is leave it up to our community members to help us to assemble that advisory committee, if that would be doable. And then Counselor Lovendall will work on that. I know Counselor Burns, you've worked with end to end before, and so as long as we are not having quorum issues, I think that if you wanted to continue to work, you could.
I'm on the board.
Okay, so then, and we will, we'll plan to take up that, have this time, place and manner resolution or ordinance on the next agenda. So any other things that we need to do?
Do you have a, want this read into record on the?
No, that person just sent it to me. And so that was, we got a letter from the public, from Cynthia Stetson about the
Oh, yeah.
homeless issue. So I put it in
Right.
the
We
packet
want
so
to be sure
everyone
that
can
we
read it.
control our message. We don't want other people controlling our message. We need to control our message. And because all manner of ugliness can occur if.
Right. And
we
I
don't
think,
control our
and I believe that there was a rumor that it was going to be moved or
Yeah.
different things were happening, and that was not the case. It was this question of how are we
Right.
to deal with this? So,
Yeah, we need to be, we've got to control our.
Okay, so I think we have clarity for now.
thank you. I
And
appreciate
it's
that.
late and I really appreciate everybody putting time in. Thank you for bringing materials, everybody. Thank you for your good conversation. And I think we made, we had a good conversation, and I appreciate you guys coming tonight and bringing good tidings. So thank you. And also our partners at ADAPT. Thank you, guys. Okay, the other things on, one more thing that I do want to mention that we really need to do is that Terry at Ray's really asked us to stop calling it the Ray's Camp or calling it the Camp at Ray's or whatever. So
Name it, yeah.
we need a different name. I know, Gary, you had mentioned the Wood Camp or Woods Camp. We need to all make sure that we start using a different name.
Let's not make it sound luxurious or private. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
Woods Camp sounds kind of cool,
Okay,
you know?
Well-
That's- Really, because word travels.
Yeah.
And it's not, it's reality.
What is
I
the
don't-
right of way called? What's the?
It's the 16th Street
16th Street
right of way.
16th Street
right of way.
okay. So I think that's just what we have to do, is come up with the name, and it would be great if that's, what the
That's a motion, Tim?
law enforcement.
Do we need to
does.
move to do that?
We probably-
It sounds like then I'll second that motion if that's your motion. Name it the 9th Street, whatever it is.
Motion To call it the 16th Street right away.
Yeah, 16th.
Simple, clean.
Second it.
First and
Oh,
second.
Joseph, wait,
Uh-oh,
Joseph just said no.
uh-oh.
Joseph,
Got to ruin everything.
Well, I know there's probably a very good reason.
Oh, I
we
bet
shouldn't
there
do
is.
it.
Yes.
Oh, it does not need a motion.
Does not need a motion. Okay.
So that's,
We
With
just, it just, by
consensus?
consensus, we just say we're just going to call it the 16th Street right away. So,
Seems clean.
okay. So
amen. I don't know.
here we go.
Yeah.
It is what it is,
Make
right?
it, make it, it is, it's the name, yes, the name of that area is the 16th Street right of way proclamation.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so now we are going to move on to.
Thank you, Joseph.
New business, which is actually, let's see, should be 8A. In the packet, it says 7B, but it's, basically this is actually the old business, which was the planning update. I'm sorry, that was, remember we had the thing about holiday lighting that we had a robust conversation about a couple of months ago. And the planning commission has made some recommendations for how we can fix that.
No, it doesn't have a page number. Right after the homeless stuff. Yeah.
So
So I'll make the motion to adopt resolution 26 07, the dark sky revision memo.
Second.
okay, we have a first and second. Any further discussion?
That was the only changes, was the one word?
It was seasonal and then also
The date, the
Oh, I see.
naming of the
90
months,
days instead of those.
90 days.
I remember now, yeah, okay, thank you.
And so you, Counselor Burns, it was to have it as written. Is that your motion? Okay.
So we got that, and who somebody seconded
I'll
it.
second it. That's it.
Okay,
Oh, we already got it.
Harry seconded.
So it was
further
Perry Rask
discussion?
second.
Any further discussion? Okay, hearing no requests for further discussion, I'll call for the vote. Counselor Brennan,
Yes.
Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Counselor Pogwiz,
Tim, yes.
Counselor Webb,
Webb, yes.
Counselor Lovendall,
Yes.
Counselor Rask.
Yes.
Okay. Then moving right along to new business, we have this proposed change. Melissa, do you want to just give the brief description of why this is
Yeah.
proposed?
Yeah, so basically, as you know, this is some of our busiest times right during this time. And so to have business license renewal and short-term rental license renewal all happen right at the fiscal year was just overwhelming for staff. And it doesn't really have to be that way, except that it was in the ordinance. And so staff recommendation is to change it to the calendar year rather than the fiscal year. Now, the only problem with that is that when we punt that, we're missing out on this first half of that revenue, although we will get it within that fiscal year. It's just going to be punted a little bit. So we'll still collect it. It's just delayed.
It used to be the calendar year. There was a 6-month, there was two licenses. There was a 6-month license and there was a 1-year license.
Which was a half year. Yeah, it was a yearly one, but if they came in within the half of the year, we'd only charge them half.
Right,
But
well, there was
this-
two, it was, right, but it was broken into two. There was two options.
Correct. But we need it, but the main yearly renewal, when most of them come in, is during the fiscal year. And that's when we send out our reminder notices that it's time to renew your license. And so to do that all during budget time and everything else in the busiest time of the year is not a great plan for us.
When did we
Just have a
change?
quick question.
Yeah.
We got a letter at the business that I work at that said that this change had already taken effect.
Yeah,
And
got
that-
that.
Okay, so it hasn't taken effect and we
Right.
can do that, but it shouldn't have said taken effect.
Said that it was going to be anyway.
Right, so that was sent
Just a
out
Warning.
early. That was
Okay.
sent out early. And the main reason for that is we had that done before, thinking that we would have had this taken care of previously,
Uh-huh.
because we also have people who are John and Johnette is on the spot who do their renewals very early. And so we wanted to,
Right.
get ahead of that. But that was a mistake and you're correct.
When did
Okay.
when did we change it?
It hasn't been changed. There is on our fee schedule that it says if you are in the second half of the year, and so you're only using it for 6 months, that it is a half a year, that they could do it in the half. So if they're a new business that starts their business in January, current rules, then they would only have to pay for the second half of the year as opposed, or, February. But in this, the main part of it explains that business licenses renew at the fiscal year and STR licenses renew at the fiscal year. So we would like to shift that.
And so
Back.
we're looking for a motion to change that. And so I'm going to move to adopt ordinance 2608 as written.
I'll
Second.
that.
We've got a first and a second.
Now that's a change on an ordinance. Do we have to have 2 readings to change that?
Well.
Not if you read it in full, but that's usually reserved for emergencies, which this isn't. But we can do the second reading, when we ratify the budget.
Yeah,
We could do it at a budget meeting.
yeah.
Well, if we may want to make one of the budget meetings a special meeting because we may have some various things coming up here.
Well, if we did it at our next business meeting, it would be ahead of the fiscal
That's true. But again, people
26.
are
paying now. Yeah.
trying to send their stuff. But again, we could,
Can't fix every
get to
problem.
Well,
and that's the problem.
If we pass it once, the intent is reasonably clear, right? I mean,
I mean, yeah, if you had to deal with a handful of them that paid them in June, then you'd just deal with it, right?
Yeah, but then would we send them back to them and then we have to do it and see what I'm saying? That's what we're
Yeah.
trying to get in front of. And this is what we do.
okay, so we have a first and who is the second?
I have Gary Burns the second.
Okay, so I asked for discussion. Any further discussion? I have some.
I have a discussion on this ordinance.
Yeah, I do too.
Does it have to do with B?
It has to do with,
This is B, the
it has to do
violation,
with
the
C.
penalty,
oh no,
is $200. And a penalty should be a deterrent. It should be, and I think that's too little myself.
For what?
It's violating the provisions of the renewal.
$200 is, I mean, a speeding ticket isn't even $200.
Right.
And
That's,
that's a public health and safety issue.
it's not
It's,
$200. I thought it
Um,
was more. Hank, where's Hank? Here.
Licensing is,
Anyway,
I mean, certain
That's
amount of miles over.
I think that's ridiculously low. It is really low. And if
how much
they-
is the license?
I think it's kind of hard to know because some businesses in our town might be really not make very much money or, so it's a little bit, I don't
But
know.
this is if they violate it. Most of them will pay. Most
right.
of everybody pays, it's only $100 or something,
Mhm. Yeah,
So it's very low, but
150 and
this would be,
75.
I just think that's, I'm,
I mean, we say it's only $100, but what does that person get for that $100? They get absolutely nothing. A little
nice
piece
little
of paper that says you paid your business license. You see what I'm saying? I mean,
It takes a lot of time to create.
it is, it's a tax. It's a tax for no reason.
I think we did on the finance committee at one point did look at, but I don't remember the answer is how much revenue does this create or
That
is
was-
there?
We worked on that in the past, and that's why we went to that graduated system that had been
Yeah.
eliminated.
$10,000. No, it's still 10,000 or over or under
No,
10,000.
no, that used to be, there was several tiers.
Oh, okay.
500,000.
Because you're asking like a business that makes very little money to pay the same as,
Well, there's
Chevron or
the revenues were under 10,000
Yeah.
of profit in a year versus over 10,000. So
Right, but
that is still
but-
there.
11,000 or 500,000 or $1 million, or, I mean, that's
Right.
quite a stretch. Anyway, it was graduated in several graduations, but it was something I had really super smart to say. I guess I'll
It's too late to,
Too late.
That
Listen,
got
We're
away.
not
The
waiting for
purpose
it
I
to come
see
back.
of it is it does give the city a way to track what.
It does.
Well, that's what
it
it
does.
was. So they're supposed to be keeping those records for federal government.
We have it. That's what
programs
we
and
do,
things like
yeah.
that. That's supposed to be
Yeah.
what you get out of it.
But it's
Jim.
a lot of work for very little.
It
you
is.
know.
I agree.
okay, so, but I think we're not going to
Right.
eliminate that right now.
No.
So
Didn't
if-
reinvent the wheel tonight.
So we have language, so Sarah has brought up the question about the penalty, and I have to bring up some language concerns, because I just can't help it.
Okay.
In number C, it says 3 times in a row for persons engaging in such trade, shop, business, profession, or home occupation. Within, it says it 3 times within the same paragraph. I don't know if anybody else stumbled over that. I mean, I just have no idea. It's just crazy making. So I would like to propose to change. So in number C, the sentence that begins with licenses for persons engaging,
Mhm.
that sentence,
Mhm.
which goes all the way to the end and has those, says it 3
Twice,
times.
3 times,
That's
3
one
times.
sentence?
Get rid of,
That's it.
I would like to say instead, licenses for persons engaging in any activity subject to the business license fee requirement after January 1st in any year shall be due and payable by those persons within 30 days after activities have commenced and shall be considered delinquent thereafter. So that reduces, it cuts the verbiage in half, and I think it's more clear. I also think we should change the word administration to administrator. I think we have administrator in
Mm.
504080, and then it says administration. So I think it should all be administrator because previously it was all recorder.
I agree.
And there's a typo, willfully should be spelled with 2 L's.
Where, I don't see Will.
That's under, it's unlawful.
I have a question,
Oh.
Sarah. Get the language out.
Those are my recommended changes if we can fix those.
So are you talking about raising the $200 fine on a business
violate.
or an
Oh, on a
STR?
violator. Penalty.
So on the STR side, on the business side, on both sides? Because this is called an STR business license.
It would be on both sides. It's in the ordinance. I presume it covers both sides.
Well, we have an STR ordinance that
Mhm.
I think has a larger fine tied to it, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're right.
So this is,
Technically, just the business one.
yeah,
Then you'd have to.
I
So we'd
forget,
have
do
to-
the STRs have a business license too, or they just have an
Yes, they
They
do.
STR
only,
license?
no, they only have an, no.
oh, they don't, but
No.
they have I think it's.
They have a
700,
technical STR license, which is,
But I think the fines are much
I
higher.
agree. So this should technically be 2 separate.
Oh,
I
okay,
think it should technically be 2 separate
okay.
Needs to be.
So it's,
ordinances.
the only thing is in the title, it says STR slash.
Yeah.
business
Yeah,
license,
that's
and it
why,
should be
that's why
just-
I'm reading.
So it should be
that way.
just
Just
business,
business license.
but we then need to change the STR one also to change the date.
Can we,
It's only the date that's the.
so this is another ordinance change?
Yeah. that
Can
would-
we direct staff to bring this
Yeah.
back to us next month with the broken into 2 and with those corrections in place?
Yep,
It has, to, because I remember there's different fines on that STR.
That would be-
There is,
Quite
it is.
high, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that would,
That's what I was.
yeah.
Because we were trying to discourage, I mean, I thought, but anyway, I could be wrong.
It's,
No.
I wonder how we,
Right. This is just for the violation.
well, that's that's what you're talking about, but it's, the whole thing is what we're,
I know.
Yeah.
I was surprised to see that it was STR.
Does anybody have any problem with removing the part about confinement to the city jail?
Yes.
Yeah.
That could be quite the,
We're making it nice.
Well, the-
People are gonna want to go there. And spend
And the thing about the fine is, I would hate
Put it
for it
into
to
an
get
STR.
like crazy because there are people that aren't aware that they have to get a business license to do business in the city. Trust me, there are.
right.
I know
There's
one
a lot of cottage
person that
industry, yeah.
kind of knows, but he did
Just
not
doesn't
know.
do it.
And I told him, get a business license. But what I'm trying to say is, I would hate to see somebody unknowingly have to pay a $500 or $600 or $750 fine because they didn't know. I mean, 200 is.
What's
still-
that? Ignorance is not an
Well,
excuse.
that's why it should, yeah, it's no.
So that's,
excuse,
it's
yeah.
not an excuse.
Ignorance is no excuse.
But-
I get that, but
Yeah, but in today's day and age, most people who want to have a business
No.
know that if you're going to operate a business within city limits, you need to have a business license.
Right.
From the city.
okay.
And one of the reasons I think STR is so high is because we've got issues there. People making a lot of money.
So is one of the reasons we have a business license too, so that if people don't do something, that somehow we can revoke their business license? Is that part of
I
why you
don't
have
even
it
think
too?
You can. We don't have the whole ordinance
Revoke
here.
the Business license.
I know. I'm just wondering.
We don't have the whole ordinance here, but,
But the first part of it, the A, I looked up, it is like the purpose and why we
can-
do it.
If
and
they
everything.
break the law, if it's not legal, if they're doing things that are illegal, then we can deny.
Have you give me those two?
State, local,
Yep.
what was it, local, state and federal law?
And within the STR, we have limits in some places. So that's how you manage how many you have in the residential zones
Mhm.
Correct.
by the issue. And, you know,
But there
Okay.
were
A lot
fees
of money on their
associated with
STR.
having that STR and they were quite high.
And a lot of it was so that we could have somebody, wasn't it, so we were gonna have somebody come check on their stuff?
Well, we talked about it.
That's not
Okay, well, so
happening.
why don't we entertain a motion
That was,
It's midnight in
to,
my head.
yeah, why don't we entertain a motion to have staff prepare changes to the dates as proposed for both the STR and the business license. They need to be separated.
Mhm.
We should be able to
and
do
we-
that by consensus, I think.
It's an ordinance change.
Well,
No, we're not changing. the ordinance.
We're changing the dates on an ordinance.
but we're recommending that staff come bring it back to us is what
When it
was,
comes back,
Yeah.
then we'll.
So I
pass
would
it.
make a motion to direct staff to change the dates on the STR and the business license.
can you put my amendment,
And
my
include-
recommended
Oh,
language
and-
amendments?
Remove the city jail and you're gonna have to tell me the other language.
Well, no, the city jail, that's already recommended
Okay.
in here, but,
Okay.
and these other, I think you can just say, bring it back and I can give it this to you and then you can
Yeah.
fix
That
it.
mine? Okay.
With the amendments Mayor Ann suggested.
Second.
And, so we got a first and a second. Any further discussion? Okay, I'll call for the vote. Counselor Brennan,
Yes.
Counselor Burns,
Yes.
Counselor Pogwiz,
Jim, yes.
Counselor Rask,
yes.
Counselor Lovendall,
Yes.
Counselor Webb.
yeah.
Okay. So, next item on the agenda here is counselor or citizen considerations. Okay, so do we have anybody in the audience who would like to come up and say something? Okay, please, come up to this and
Is
tell
this
us
on?
your name.
Can you hear me?
Yep, yes.
Hi, my name's Christian Sorensen. I live in Jefferson Street, right up 19th, at the end of 19th. So Monday, as we all know, we had a water break. And what I wanted to bring to your attention, which you're probably not thinking about, and this could be, Mayor Ann, a serious liability for you as a city. So it's great that you're putting out these notices, the notices to boil, and then when it's over. The problem, and what's in this bag, is actually silt. I had to flush my water heater. This is the worst one I've had yet. This is, I think, maybe the third or fourth water break I've encountered at my house where we've lost the water. So what I did is I tied a bag here to the end of the hose, and then I flushed my water heater about 3 or 4 times this time. And the amount of silt was unbelievable. So I'm assuming all my neighbors, and I'm going to go check on one of my elderly neighbors because no way she's going to be able to do that. Um, what this can do is create an environment in these water heaters. If in your water heater, if you don't clean it or flush it, which can grow Legionella bacteria. Now you've got this, this environment, you've got this stew with all this, biomaterial in there, and it creates a biofilm. And that can produce many different types of bacteria that can, even if you're showering, get airborne. You can look all this up and talk it over. But what I think what you need to also do, because this is not going to be the last time this happens. We know this is going to go on. We're all living it.
It just happened again. I just got a text.
Okay.
That same leak is leaking.
Yeah. But where I see a liability problem for the city is I had this much silt, probably about 2 inches at the bottom of my water heater, and people aren't cleaning them. You should be cleaning. I have 27 years of maintenance experience in large industrial facilities. So that's my background in a nutshell. But if you're not cleaning these water tanks like you should be flushing your tank probably in this area normally twice a year, because it's slightly hard. You want to remove the scale and build up and deposit. It's just a normal process. But I've never seen this much mud. This is what I call a filter bag, attach it to the water hose. And I just had to keep flushing to get it all out. And so the only thing you can really do, we can't solve this problem. I know you're trying. I know you're writing as many grants as you can. I'm well aware. I would add something to these door hangers. And if you want to talk to people, people need to think about it. Most people aren't thinking about this with the water heater. It's less of a threat to healthier people, but to the older, more vulnerable populations, or those with other whatever, with serious health considerations. This could be a real problem. I did my own 2 years ago of our water here. I sent it off to a private lab, special they had on Amazon, and just wanted to get it, just know for myself. And overall, our water is pretty good. The only thing we have is some contaminants from leftover cleaning agents from the chlorine process at the plant. And they're well below the EPA threshold, but there's also the other threshold called the human level, which is a little more, but yeah, in the FAA, when I worked for them and I managed these large facilities, we have point of entry filters for all our water, just for this kind of thing that almost never happens. But, we had a lot of silt get through the pipe this time. And I know the guys are doing the best they can. We're just going around like, sticking your finger in a dike.
Yeah. And that particular line, there's a story to it, or it's a particular kind of line.
Yeah.
The break is long and lengthy, and it twists in a
Right.
difficult way. So, but thank you so much for bringing that.
So yeah, you may want to think about updating this or doing something public.
An example of what something might say, or suggestions that.
Yeah, like, what do you think? What do you say, Brent? Like just, I would say something like, we just had a major water break. There may be organic materials in the water that have gotten into your water heater, and now is a good time to flush your system. I'm just trying to save you guys, because here's what I could see happening. Somebody gets sick. Somebody is litigious enough. We're already a city that doesn't have resources, and you get sued because you failed to inform the public. You see where I'm going? But talk it over with the city attorney. They'd probably see it from my point of view. And I'm just saying that based on my federal experience and what I had to deal with and the regulations I had to follow at the time.
I wonder if our, we are very regulated by DEQ, or not DEQ, the Oregon Health Authority.
Okay.
Really regulates our water system, and they may have some ideas.
They might, it's just like, I brought the example. This is just my water heater, the Rheem, many different mines. There's Allen Bradley.
Yours is way up too. You're up on the hill, man.
Right,
You're
well,
down where I am.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. I'm a little bit of a distance from where that break was, so I'm sure my other neighbor, who's Dave, and then my other neighbor, I'm sure, and I've got to, I haven't talked to everybody yet because I've been busy doing some other things, but I do believe that,
There's stuff in there.
and people aren't thinking about it. And what was happening is once it was declared that the water started flowing, I mean, I've got pictures of my water tank just full of, it's completely brown with dirt. For the toilet tank is what I'm talking about. And so I've had to scrub that all out and a couple other things. But yeah, I think you guys, it's something that's not, we're not thinking about it because we're thinking about boil the water, but we're not. And so when you turn on, that's what I want to say. When you turn on the hot water, it was still cloudy and dirty. I could fill a glass and it was still cloudy. And that's what I'm saying. And that's going to cause problems for a lot of people who don't understand what's going on.
Do we need to warn people to turn, when they have a break, to turn off? You turn off your water heater. I mean, that's what we do. And then they flush. I mean, the water guys.
Yeah, and they
turn on
do.
and
They
flush.
turn
and
on
I-
the hydrants and flush out the
And
system
really
as they
flush
do
it
it.
out.
Right.
Clean, but I don't know what happened there because I've had two
It was
major
bad.
breaks.
This is the worst one, Sarah. This is the worst I've ever had.
It's,
It sounded like something kind of blue in a weird sort of way that maybe sucked in some dirt. I ran into John yesterday and he was
that's why
describing.
everybody's the bottom element goes out around here.
John Mansfield.
That's why all the
That is, that's how bad it was. All over,
Yeah.
that's my,
Oh my gosh,
Toilet
yeah.
tank.
so it was, and I would keep flushing.
Yeah,
Like
no kidding.
cold water side cleared up,
Mhm.
eventually.
Yeah.
But the hot water was not clearing.
Yeah, that's the clue.
There's a lot of,
So I think you'd be covered if you put a warning in one of these notices or updated. We advise all residents. And, people should be flushing their tanks.
and they should, especially with the.
Yeah, semi-annually for this area. The water hardness quality here is about 80 to 100, depending on how you sample it. So you're looking at, I have a lot of stuff for sampling different things, so.
Oh, you better stop saying all these.
Oh, no.
Quit talking, you're gonna be roped in.
I can't do lab analysis, but I had to do that for my, we had to do that because we had, systems that would be like air handlers and chillers and boilers that would have been destroyed by
Right.
this kind of, but we never would have had that issue because we have what's called a point of entry filter. People can do that on their homes, but it's expensive and you have to have bypass to meet the regulation to go back to the drain. So that's just not a solution for most homeowners. So.
Well, thank you
Thank you
so
for
much
bringing
for
this.
bringing that to our attention. And Joseph, did you say your name?
I sent,
Christian.
did I send,
Okay.
no, I sent Marissa.
Marissa.
I sent her an email with my contact information and I sent pictures of all that with the
Okay.
toilet and draining and showing her, trying to show her exactly how it is. But this bag was a clean, brand new white filter bag when I started. And now it's brown and half filled with silt.
Thank you so much for bringing that to our attention. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. So,
Okay.
who knows what the next one will look like?
Oh,
Yeah.
gosh. We hope it won't be
Right
so
now,
bad.
Evidently in the same location.
Okay, so we will move on. Next is staff considerations. Chief
No.
or Melissa?
Just wanted to offer a heartfelt thank you to you and all the counselors who helped pass the levy. Without you, it wouldn't have happened. And my staff and I were discussing it and we don't even know what to say. We're really appreciative.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
We appreciate you guys. Yep. Yeah, thank you very much. Excellent. Okay. Yeah, I think it's the vote went reasonably well, so I appreciate it. Thank you, Hank. for
So
coming.
who wants to help create the thank you sign?
You don't want me to help me.
Yeah, I
Be
guess
very
I'll do it.
sloppy looking.
Do you mind doing it?
That's fine.
That'd be great. Thank you, Deanna. Thank you, Hank.
We have like a banner making capability. Anything at the?
Well, I would say you just take an old sheet, if you need an old sheet and a Sharpie. I don't know how I would do it, but that's how I would maybe consider doing it. Okay, counselor, any counselor considerations?
I have a flight to catch. I need to get going. I actually do. I need to be in Medford here in about 4 hours.
Holy smokes.
So I gotta go.
Okay,
I
any,
do have lots to say though.
well, I know, and that's
always
what,
do.
we always do. Wait, but we're not, but you're not adjourned yet. You have to wait until we get the final scoop on the next meetings. Oh, and it's mayor consideration. So now I get to, I've been thinking about these things. I'd really like to talk to you about, Brett.
Oh, ears.
Um,
I got a fast car.
Okay, I have none, but appreciate everybody's,
Need to talk to on his way there.
appreciate everyone's attention tonight. And again, okay, so,
And again, the levy, like.
and the levy,
That's huge.
that was a
That was
huge,
that was
it is a
huge
huge
lift,
thing.
and thank you, because for our staff, I really appreciate that.
Or, yeah,
Helpful.
we will. Excellent. Okay. So budget meetings, we have the dates. Remember to please write down those dates and email Melissa tomorrow about if you have a problem with any of those dates. If we do not hear from you, she will assume those dates are okay. You're going to add the extra dates and we will get out information about which ones. You have to still get the okay from the Kaitolas or we
I
got that
think
okay?
for mostly,
Leaf.
Leaf Kaitola was fine with any of the dates. He said his
Okay.
calendar was pretty well open, so
Good.
probably the dates I will add will be, if the last one was the 12th, then I would probably add the going with Counselor Pogwest, probably the Tuesday, Thursday, well, probably the Monday, Wednesday of the next week. So it'd be the 15th and the 17th also with the final budget meeting on the 18th. So I'll just add those in just to
I
be,
can't make the 18th. I have, Cindy has another appointment
Okay.
at Riverbend.
okay. But if we do, but that's the regular council
No, I
meeting
think
anyway.
we
Yeah.
list them
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
You're covered.
So I'll add the
Yeah.
15th and the 17th, just in case we get way over a barrel, but I don't expect to use them, but I will notice them
Okay. Excellent.
tomorrow.
And yet again, I apologize. I did not have a cup of coffee before this meeting, so at this time I feel a little bit loopy, but thank you all for your attention.
Yeah, it's midnight in my head.
And
East
welcome
Coast.
back and onward we all press. Thank you all. The meeting is adjourned at 8:48. And Joseph, thank you for tuning in
Thank you,
from afar.
Joseph.
We appreciate it.
Give your nephews a squeeze.
Yeah. I will give him a nice big hug and tell him, the city of Port Orford appreciates borrowing his uncle. My notes aren't as good as they usually are, but I think I'll be able to get through. Thank you, council.
Thank
Safe
you.
travel.
Happy birthday. Yes. Thanks, Joseph.
Thank you.